Chapter 91. Bear Country. In fact, Kingsley really wanted to kill the third Kazekage Tessa here, and he was even eager to try it in his heart, but after weighing the pros and cons, he felt that he could kill him, but it was not necessary, so Kingsley gave up this tempting idea. After all, he was just a hired ninja hired by Hanzo to participate in the war, and the price Hanzo offered was not worth it for him to kill the kage of a village in public. In addition, the Kirigakure was about to take action against the land of whirlpools. If he killed the Kaze kage at this time, the sand village would attack the Kirigakure like a mad dog to avenge their kage. Although Kingsley was not afraid, it was really unnecessary. As the winner, you only need to take the benefits. There is no need to fight to the death. Everything is for the peace of the ninja world. Just when Seiji and others were fighting fiercely with Tsunagakure, the vanguard ninja troops of Kirigakure had already arrived at the Bear Country. As a small country, the Bear Country fell without any effective resistance to the advance of the Hidden Mist Village. Although there was a small ninja village called Star Ninja Village in their territory, the third Mizukage Bing had already specifically designated this village for destruction. At this time, the Anbu from the Hidden Mist Village had already blocked the entrance of the Star Ninja Village. As members of the advance team sent by the Anbu, Kiruta Yagura and Chino Kid were standing in the valley in front of the Star Ninja Village with all the members of the second squad of the first division of the Anbu. That's right, after Kyoji became a member of the 7 ninja swordsmen, Yagura's strength also improved by leaps and bounds, and he finally successfully took over the position of captain of the first team, while Chino Kizuna still served as his deputy. Master Jing. Master Hwa. An Anbu appeared instantly, knelt on one knee, and greeted the two respectfully. Yes. Yagura nodded in response. Tell me about the situation in the Star Ninja Village. Yes. Answered the Anbu codenamed Blood. He was sent by Sword to the Bear Country to collect intelligence a long time ago. The intelligence shows that there are actually not many ninjas in this so-called Star Ninja Village. Although its leader calls himself the Star Shadow, he does not have the strength of a shadow at all. At best, he is equivalent to our Jonin. Blood's voice was slightly disdainful. But that's normal. He was born in the Hidden Mist Village, one of the 5 major ninja villages, and he is also an elite in the Anbu. He has enough strength to look down on a small ninja village that has only a few Jonin. Legend has it that hundreds of years ago, a meteorite fell from the sky and landed near this valley. Later, a village was gradually built here. One day, the villagers discovered that they could use this meteorite called Star to promote the growth of chakra in their bodies, so this place slowly became the Star Ninja Village we know today. Shui continued to introduce to everyone. But it should be noted that we have found out that they have mastered a special secret technique of transforming chakra into wings, which allows ninjas to fly and fight. Shui thought for a moment and added. Fly. Yagura's eyes lit up when he heard this. Originally, he just wanted Zi to lead his second team to carry out the mission. He himself had no intention of taking action. He just came here in person to support the task assigned by the third Mizukage Bing. But now that he heard that the other party actually had the ability to fly, Yagura couldn't help but feel a little excited. Looking towards the Misty Valley, Yagura now had some desire to take action. He really wanted to see what this so-called chakra transforming wings flying secret technique was like. Oh, and this valley is full of miasma, which is extremely toxic. Our people once tried to enter briefly. There was no problem in a short time, but over a long period of time, even the senior ninja could not resist. Shui finally reminded Yagura. Since we can't pass through here, have you looked for other passages around the valley? Yagura asked casually. No, the people of the Star Ninja Village usually rely on their unique flying ninjutsu to directly cross the valley to enter and exit. Shui shook his head and replied. Yagura fell into deep thought. This is a bit troublesome. No wonder such a small and broken ninja village has not been destroyed for such a long time. At this moment, a loud shout suddenly came from the sky. Who are you? How dare you spy on our Star Ninja Village? Hearing the shouts, everyone present subconsciously looked up, and saw more than a dozen figures with extremely conspicuous chakra wings on their backs emerging in the sky in front of them, and all of them were wearing forehead protectors engraved with 5-pointed star patterns. Is this the ninja from the Star Ninja Village? His strength is indeed ordinary. But the ability to fly is indeed quite tricky. Yagura and others sighed in their hearts. A group of ninjas from the Star Ninja Village appeared in the sky, led by one named Gonboshi. They were the musket unit that the Star Ninja Village established in imitation of the Anbu established in other ninja villages, and they used detonating tags to attack. Gangzing is not like other ninjas from the Star Ninja Village who are content to stay in a remote corner and have little knowledge. As the captain of the musket unit, he has gone out for further studies. Therefore, when Yagura and others looked up at them, Gangzing recognized at a glance the forward protector style of the Hidden Mist Village represented by the 4 vertical curves with flowing water. Gangzing couldn't help but groan inwardly. The Bear Country and the Water Country were across the sea from each other, and he knew too well the characters of the ninjas from the Hidden Mist Village. He was afraid that today would not end peacefully. But before Gangzing could say anything, a Chunin behind him shouted angrily at Yagura and the others, "A bunch of trash ninjas who came out of nowhere dare to tease the tiger whiskers of our Xingnan village. They are really asking the old man to hang himself. Have you lived enough? Ha ha ha." Upon hearing such ignorant words, Yagura and the others couldn't help but laugh. This was truly typical example of arrogance. After all, we are all strictly trained elite ninjas from the Anbu. No matter how funny something is, we won't laugh unless we can't help it. Manual Doghead.jpg. The smile that was about to appear on Yangzing's face suddenly froze, and he turned around and glared at him fiercely, secretly hating his subordinates for being too talkative. They were really used to being domineering in the Bear Country. It's okay that you didn't recognize the ninja from the Hidden Mist Village, but as your boss, I haven't said anything yet, but you spoke first. It's obvious that they came with bad intentions. Originally, we could have talked to each other to see if there was any misunderstanding. Now, as soon as your sarcastic words came out, the negotiations broke down. After brewing his emotions for a while, Yangzing was ready to speak again, but Yagura would not give him the chance. Although he laughed at the other party's arrogance, the ridicule just now did make Yagura feel angry. Chapter 92 678309:00 Yagura took direct action. He quickly formed seals with both hands, Yin Mao Su Wei Chen, and the 5 seals were completed in less than a second. Wind release, wind cut technique. A hurricane came out of Yagura's mouth and cut towards the ninjas of the Tensho Star Ninja Village. Seeing that Yagura did not answer but took action directly, Gangzing also became angry. Even if you are a ninja from the Hidden Mist Village, one of the 5 major ninja villages, you can't do this. The rock star also moves, and finally forms the U seal. Peacock magic, peacock feathers transform into beasts. Tiger. As the seal fell, a tiger made of chakra appeared behind Gangzing and pounced on Yagura's wind kiri technique. Seeing Yangzing taking action, the group of Star Ninja Village ninjas behind him also made the same gesture. Peacock magic, peacock feathers transform into beasts. Snake. Peacock magic, peacock feathers transform into beasts. Leopard. Peacock magic, peacock feathers transform into beasts. Bear. For a moment, the air seemed to have turned into a zoo, and all kinds of ferocious beasts were materialized by the ninjas of the Star Ninja Village using chakra, and they pounced on Yagura and others on the ground. Peacock technique? What a unique use of chakra! Don't attack! Yagura ordered. He wanted to measure the strength of the so-called peacock technique of this Star Ninja. I'll handle it! Quickly glancing at the various chakra beasts attacking from the air, Yagura calmly formed a hand seal and then activated the powerful wind-style ninjutsu that CG had taught him. Wind release vacuum jade. Yagura took a deep breath, puffed up his mouth, and then a series of high-pressure wind-style bullets shot out of his mouth like a machine gun and shot into the air. The chakra beasts cast by the Chunins of the Star Ninja Village who were in the front were defeated instantly, but this was not the end. Yagura continued to form hand seals, Zi Maosu. Wind escape vacuum jade. It is also a B-level wind style, but the vacuum jade is an upgraded version of the vacuum jade. If the vacuum jade shoots wind-style bullets, then the vacuum jade shoots wind-style heavy artillery. A huge roar resounded through the sky, as if the entire sky was shaking. With a little skill, Yagura used 2 simple wind escapes to easily wipe out all the chakra beasts in one fell swoop. There were even a few unlucky star ninjas who were affected by the aftermath of the vacuum jade and suffered the disaster. Blood fell like raindrops in the sky. Yan Xing, who witnessed this scene, couldn't help but shudder, thinking to himself, the ninjas from the Hidden Mist Village are too powerful, we are no match for them at all. At this moment, he had already begun to have the idea of retreating in his heart, and just wanted to fly back to the village as soon as possible. After all, the valley was filled with dense miasma, and those mist ninjas who did not have the ability to fly could not pass through at all, let alone attack the village. Thinking of this, Yang Xing's eyes involuntarily glanced in the direction of the village. Although he thought so in his heart, Yan Xing said, "Go ahead. They don't have the ability to fly. As long as we keep moving in the air and launch attacks, they can't hit us at all." Following Yang Xing's order, the remaining star ninjas flapped the chakra wings behind them and rushed towards Yagura and others. On the other hand, Yang Xing made an unexpected move. He also rushed, but he rushed in the completely opposite direction. It was obvious that he intended to escape from the battlefield and completely abandon his subordinates. This behavior of selling out teammates made Yagura laugh. But how could Yagura let him escape so easily? Since he had already taken action, he would definitely capture all the star ninjas present. Water escape broken current. Wind style, tornado hurricane. Combined ninjutsu, hurricane water vortex jutsu. A huge vortex appeared, as if connecting heaven and earth. As it rotated at high speed, it also brought with it the extreme cutting force of the wind and the extreme suction of the rotating water. The group of star ninjas who had been rushing forward howling wanted to turn around and run away as well when they saw their boss turning around and running away. However, at this time, Yagura's ninjutsu had already been activated. The huge suction force of the hurricane vortex made it impossible for them to fly away. In a blink of an eye, they were sucked into the vortex and turned into bloody foam. No. Impossible. How could he be so powerful? He actually killed so many people in an instant. Screams came one after another. Yan Xing, who was running away, couldn't help but look back, and he saw this extremely shocking scene. Nothing is impossible. How can people from a small ninja village in a remote corner understand what the 5 major ninja villages are? Yagura spoke softly and asked calmly, while continuing to make seals with his hands. There is only Yang Xing left, and it is time to reunite him with his men. Wind escape big snare. Yagura blew out whirlwinds in the air, and chakra was continuously injected into the wind, gradually forming a large area of net-like wind, and then enveloped Yang Xing who was flying in the air at a high speed. The net-like wind greatly affected Yang Xing's flying speed in the air. He rushed left and right, constantly trying to break out of the net-like restraint. But Yagura's attack is not over yet. The Deluo net is just to control Yang Xing, and the next move is the killing move. Wind style, vacuum wave. Yagura took a deep breath, then his chest puffed up, and he began to exhale sharp breaths similar to those of a kamaitachi, and dozens of blade-like rotating winds whizzed towards Yang Xing. Yan Xing felt the breath of death, and in panic, he ran headfirst into the web woven by the wind escape technique, and the next moment he was cut in half by a vacuum wave. Without the protection of chakra, his body was broken into 2 pieces and then cut into pieces by the still raging wind. The musket troops of the Star Ninja village were wiped out by Yagura alone, without even having a chance to launch the so-called musket attack. Hey, Yagura exhaled lightly, it's a very interesting ninjutsu, but their strength is too poor. Let's think about how to break through this miasma valley and complete Lord Mizuki's mission as soon as possible. Yagura continued. He had also seen the so-called peacock magic, and he didn't want to waste any more time. Blood, have you ever tried how long the wind escape technique can blow away the miasma? Asked Chino Kizuna on the side. Master Hawa, our captain has tried it before. With his strength, he could probably blow away the miasma in about 5 seconds. The miasma here is too dense and will soon flow back again. This amount of time is not enough for us to cross the valley directly. Shui recalled and then answered. Chapter 93. This is a bit difficult. Chino Kizuna sighed. If the wind escape performed by the senior ninja doesn't work, then they will have to think of other ways. It's so annoying. Is the mission a failure? We've been trying for so long but we can't even get into the gate of the village. Hearing Shui's answer, Yagura couldn't help but feel discouraged and anxious. They couldn't waste their time on this. As the advance team, they had more important responsibilities. I know you are anxious, but don't be anxious. Chino Kizuna rolled her eyes at her stinky brother Yagura. Even though she has become the team leader, she is still so impatient. Zi, can your ice escape range cover the entire valley? Chino Kizuna turned her gaze to Zi beside her and asked. Zi estimated the approximate distance with his eyes, and then replied confidently, it should be no problem, but it may consume a lot of chakra. That's no problem. Let's try it. Let's use wind escape to blow away the miasma first. Shui just said that it takes about 5 seconds for the place blown by wind escape to be filled with miasma again. During this time, Zi, use your ice escape to create an ice channel to isolate the miasma. It doesn't need to be very strong, it can just temporarily isolate the miasma, giving us enough time to pass through. Kizuna Chino proposed her solution. Is everything alright, Zi? Zi nodded, indicating that he could do it. Then let's start. Jing and Zi, please cooperate well. Chino Kizuna gave the start command. After receiving the order, Yagura and Zi came to the front of the valley together. Zi started to make seals first. The complicated seals kept changing in his hands. When he was about to finish, he turned his head to look at Yagura beside him, signaled to him with his eyes, and then Yagura also started to make seals. Wind escape. The air currents are dancing. Although it was a very basic sea-level wind escape, it showed extraordinary power in Yagura's hands. 2 gusts of wind were generated in Yagura's hands, and then under his control, they blew forward fiercely, and the miasma in front was instantly blown away by the wind, revealing the true appearance under the fog. At this time, Bing's ninjutsu was completed synchronously. Ice escape, path of pure ice. A road formed by ice quickly spread forward, soon crossing the valley and reaching the other side. Very good, then let's try again and close this ice road. Chino Kizuna looked forward with satisfaction. Her method really worked. Yagura and Zi used the same trick again and performed the same operation once again. A crystal clear ice tunnel appeared above the valley. After seeing the passage being formed, everyone did not delay and immediately passed through the tunnel across the valley and set out on the road to the Star Ninja Village. There was still a peaceful atmosphere in the Star Ninja Village. Just now, the second-generation Star Shadow sent out a musket troop to deal with those who were spying on their Star Ninja Village across the valley. This kind of thing happened frequently in recent years, so he didn't think there would be any accidents. But as the saying goes, if nothing unexpected happens, something will most likely happen. At this time, the Star Ninjas had not yet realized that their proud musket troops had been wiped out. In fact, the Star Ninja Village had a rather hidden chain that could cross the valley, and there were usually ninjas from the musket unit guarding it. The ninjas of the Star Ninja Village had great trust in their musket units and the poisonous miasma in the valley, but who would have thought that Gangzing and his musket units, including the 2 ninjas who were responsible for guarding the chain, were wiped out by Yagura in one wave. Therefore, the Star Ninja Village was completely unaware of the invasion of the Kirigakure people. After entering the Star Ninja Village, Yagura and the others had no intention of hiding and walked straight to the building in the middle of the village that was much taller than the other buildings. Who are you? Finally someone noticed something was wrong and hurriedly stopped Yagura and others and shouted. Wind escape press. Yagura did not answer, but chose to take action directly. Since the village was about to be destroyed, there was no need to be polite. Countless strong high-pressure wind balls streaked through the air and shot forward. The Star Ninja, who was unable to dodge, was instantly blown into pieces by one of the storm artillery, and blood rained down on the spot. Boom! The remaining high-pressure wind balls fell on the buildings behind, which were destroyed instantly, and the collapsed buildings made a loud noise. Who is it? After hearing the voice, an angry shout came from the building in the middle of the village, and the sound resounded throughout the Star Ninja Village. Then a violent momentum suddenly broke out, and then appeared in front of Yagura and others, suspended in the air, looking down at Yagura and others. The person who came was an elderly man dressed in black, a white divine robe, and a bamboo hat on his head. There was a word star engraved on the front of the hat. He was the current second-generation Star Shadow Black Star of the Star Ninja Village. Oh! Yagura raised his eyebrows. It turns out that the Star Ninja Village is not so useless. There are ninjas as powerful as you. From the aura bursting out from Black Star, Yagura sensed that his strength was roughly at the level of an elite jonin. But, what is your level? How dare you call yourself a cage like our Mizu cage? Yagura continued, with a hint of disdain in his tone. Invaders from Kirigakure, let me meet you. The second-generation Hoji Cage Black Star knew that the newcomers were not friendly and the situation was not good, but he still decided to fight with Yagura and the others. Fleeing without a fight was not Hoshikage's style. Besides, he did not think he would be weaker than the ninjas of Kirigakure. After all, those who came were not Mizu Cage but just a few Anbu. The various mysteries of the peacock magic gave him great confidence. Peacock magic, peacock feathers transform into beasts. Dragon. As expected, he is worthy of being called Xingying. Even the chakra beast he formed is more advanced than others. A ferocious lavender chakra dragon appeared in the air and roared loudly at Yagura and others. Wind escape thousand-faced wind. In response to the chakra dragon's roar, Yagura used wind style. Dense and tiny wind blades emerged, continuously cutting and attacking the chakra dragon. Soon, the dragon was cut into pieces. Heising's pupils shrank slightly, so strong. He didn't expect that his dragon beast would be at a disadvantage at the first encounter. At this time, other star ninjas who heard the noise of the fight also rushed to the scene. Seeing the second-generation star Shadow Black Star who was at a disadvantage and the surrounding destroyed buildings, they all shouted angrily. "Leave this star shadow to me, while Hana and the second team will be responsible for cleaning up the other star ninjas." Yagura ordered the others, "Blood, you come along too. This will count as an S-rank mission for you. I'll tell the Mizukage about this later." Chapter 94. Yes. Everyone responded loudly, then scattered and began to slaughter the star ninjas that kept coming from the surroundings. The battle had already started for a while before the 4 guards of the second-generation star Shadow Black Star finally arrived, flapping their wings behind them and hovering behind Black Star. No one knew what the 4 of them were guarding. "Lord Xingying. We are late." The guards spoke in unison. "Tactic B." Black Star ordered quickly. Black Star was just stalling for time, waiting for the arrival of his 4 guards. When he recognized that it was the Kirigakure ninja invading, Black Star knew that he would have to go through a tough battle today. Although he was quite confident in his own strength, he still decided to play it safe and wait for the guards to arrive before launching a fusion attack. Peacock magic, peacock feathers transform into beasts. Dragon. The 4 guards landed on 4 different rooftops, then formed hand seals synchronously, using chakra to transform into 4 chakra dragons at the same time. "Is that all? This makes me very disappointed." Yagura was still disdainful. Just now, Black Star's chakra dragon was defeated by him in one blow. He didn't think that simply piling up numbers would improve the combat effectiveness. "Of course it's not just that. It's not over yet." Black Star answered as he input chakra to restore the chakra dragon that had just been cut into a dragon shape to its original shape, and then controlled his chakra dragon to come to the middle of the other 4. Black Star and the 4 guards changed the seals in their hands at the same time, peacock magic, peacock feather transformation into beast. Fusion. The other 4 chakra dragons actually slowly merged into Black Star's chakra dragon. Then Black Star's dragon beast began to swell rapidly in size, and its shape became more clearly visible. If the chakra dragon just now was only a dozen meters tall, then after the fusion of the other 4 chakra dragons, its body has reached more than 40 meters, like a giant summoning beast. During this process, Yagura had no intention of stopping it. In fact, if he wanted to, Black Star would have no chance to merge. Even if he could fly, Yagura could easily interrupt him while he was performing the spell. However, whether you say that Yagura is arrogant or that he respects his opponent, he is excited to see the prey and does this out of confidence in his own strength. After all, he is the captain of the Dark Corps of the Hidden Mist Village. He wants to see how this strange ninjutsu will perform in the hands of the second-generation Hojikage, the strongest man in the Star Ninja Village. However, villains are generally like this, and now, aren't Yagura and others playing villain roles? Although it is unlikely that they will be overturned due to overwhelming strength, it is reasonable to give Black Star some time to prepare his ninjutsu. After all, in the face of an absolute gap in strength, any struggle will be useless. After the fusion was completed, the 4 guards collapsed to the ground at the same time. Yagura suddenly realized what he was wondering just now. They all had the ability to fly, but they had to land on the roof to perform ninjutsu. This meant that all their chakra was contributed to Black Star's chakra dragon. It would be impossible for them to maintain their combat effectiveness. "Kid. You didn't stop our chakra dragon fusion. Should I say you are confident or stupid?" The second-generation star Shadow Black Star, who had fused the other 4 chakra dragons, felt that he was capable again. Now he felt stronger than ever before, and he would dare to challenge the Mizukage even if he came in person. Yagura, who had been calm and wanted to see Black Star's trump card, suddenly frowned after hearing the little brat, and a strong murderous aura rushed towards Black Star. What Yagura hated the most was people talking about his height. Black Star's words "little brat" were extremely hurtful and directly hit his sore spot. At this time, he was wearing a mask and his classic baby face was not exposed, so Black Star's calling him little devil was obviously because of his height that had stopped growing. This old deng! Yagura cursed in his heart, his anger burning. At this time, he no longer thought about anything else. He just wanted to let Black Star see why the flowers were so red. But unexpectedly, Black Star was also a cunning person. When he saw Yagura suddenly get angry and want to attack, he controlled the enlarged chakra dragon and slammed into Yagura without saying a word, with no intention of giving Yagura time to form hand seals. Boom! The chakra dragon hit the ground, creating a big hole and stirring up a lot of smoke and dust. The earth was also shaking due to the huge impact force. However, the law of there is smoke but no harm is no joke. Yagura had already sensed that Black Star was about to take action, and had already jumped left and right several times and left the spot. Roar! Chakra Dragon missed the attack and quickly crawled out of the pit, roared towards the sky, and then, under the control of Black Star, he made a smooth turn, drawing a beautiful arc, and pounced on Yagura again, opened his big mouth and bit Yagura. Wow! Yagura in the dragon beast's mouth turned into a stream of water under its bite. It turned out that Yagura had used the opportunity when the smoke and dust blocked Black Star's vision and used his water clone, and the one that just fell into the dragon beast's mouth was a water clone of Yagura. Yagura's figure appeared on the side, with his hands forming seals. Water release water water whip. The dispersed water flow of the water clone, under the effect of Yagura's ninjutsu, turned into a thick water whip, tightly wrapped around the chakra dragon, and continued to shrink inward, trying to directly strangle the dragon beast. If it was an ordinary chakra beast, Yagura might have succeeded, but this dragon beast was formed by the chakras of 5 people after all. It was not just a change in the amount of chakra, but a qualitative change under the effect of Black Star's Peacock Mystic Fusion technique. Black Star controlled the dragon beast to struggle hard for a few times. After a while, it broke free from Yagura's water whip and rushed towards Yagura's position again. This beast is really powerful. Its normal attack has the power of a sea-level ninjutsu. Yagura sighed inwardly. Although he was full of anger towards Black Star, he had to admit that Black Star was very powerful at this moment. But, there is still a big gap between us. Well, how about this move? Water style, water mirror technique. Yagura formed a seal with one hand, and a huge water mirror appeared in front of him. At the same time, he picked up the coral stick behind him and used the hook on the top to hook the water mirror towards the ground. A chakra dragon of the same size emerged from the water mirror and then slammed into Black Star's chakra dragon. 2 identical dragons roared and crashed into each other, making a loud noise, and then began to bite each other continuously. Seeing this scene, cold sweat broke out on Black Star's forehead. How could the Kirigakure ninja be so strong? Black Star, who had already used his strongest attack, was almost broken by Yagura's 50-50 technique. Chapter 95. Black Star's chakra dragon has been restrained by the water mirror technique, so Black Star, who has lost his most important weapon, can only be controlled by Yagura. This dragon beast, which has gathered all the chakra of the 4 guards plus the chakra of Black Star himself, is indeed not easy to deal with. However, the perceptive Yagura has long discovered that Black Star himself is the biggest weakness of this peacock magic. When peacock technique uses chakra moan to attack, Black Star, as the practitioner, is unable to effectively defend against attacks that directly attack him. He can only protect himself through chakra moan or simply dodge. At this moment, Yagura was thinking that it was not easy to kill this dragon beast, but wouldn't it be easy for you, an old man, to do it? Today I have you in my hands, old man. Even the 6-path sage can't stop you. I say that. Water release water crush wave. After a few simple seals, the water whip was forcibly broken free, and the few splashes of water that fell on the ground quickly increased under the influence of Yagura's chakra, and in the blink of an eye, a small lake of considerable size was formed in the center of the Star Ninja village. Water release water release. As the seals in Yagura's hands changed, the water in the water area rushed up into the sky, forming water bombs that shot towards the Black Star in the air. Black Star, who was trying to control the chakra dragon to fight against the copy created by Yagura's water mirror technique, was suddenly beaten into a panic and hurriedly flapped his wings to avoid. However, this was exactly what Yagura wanted, as he had already prepared his next ninjutsu. Water style, water break wave. Yagura put his hands together and activated the S-level water jutsu he learned from Kiyoshi. The high-pressure water flow, compressed to the extreme, pierced through Black Star's arm, which was moving back and forth in the air to avoid the attack, at lightning speed, and then swept downwards. Ah! Black Star screamed, and it was a cry that made anyone who heard it cry. His right arm was directly cut off by Yagura, and blood continued to spurt out from the cut. The chakra dragon who was fighting with the clone also lost control because of Black Star's broken arm, and was quickly killed by the clone created by Yagura through the water mirror technique. Yagura gained the upper hand with one move and did not stop attacking just because Black Star had a broken arm. Instead, he continued to form seals. He had lost interest in this so-called star shadow. Wind release vacuum jade. A series of wind-style bullets were spit out from Yagura's mouth, attacking the twisted Black Star in midair. The Chakra Dragon was killed by Yagura, causing Black Star to be deeply hurt. Coupled with the pain of the broken arm, he had lost the ability to resist at this time, and was pierced by the wind-style bullets in various vital parts of his body without any surprise. Boom! Black Star's body fell weakly to the ground, his body was covered with wounds and blood was gushing out from his body. It's over! Yagura shouted in a low voice, and then used wind style again to kill the 4 guards on the roof who were already weak and exhausted. At this point, including the captain of the musket unit, Iwateshi, who had been killed, the top leaders of the Star Ninja Village could be said to be over. Just a mere seeing, boring. After finishing the battle, Yagura said quite arrogant words in a gentler tone. Having killed the second-generation star shadow Black Star, he suddenly felt his thoughts become clear. Without paying any attention to the others who were still fighting outside, Yagura put the coral stick back on his back and walked towards the tallest building, which was where the second-generation star shadow Black Star usually worked. It was time to see if there were any other good things in the Star Ninja Village. Yagura slowly walked into Xing Ying's office, his senses open and he continued to explore. Soon, he found a mechanism in the wall. Yagura did not hesitate and broke it violently. Inside was a scroll and a diary. Putting the scroll on the table and spreading it out, Yagura quickly glanced through it and couldn't help but complain, "Tisk, it seems useless. Forget it, after all, this is a small ninja village with no heritage. Only this peacock magic is a bit peculiar. Let's take it back to show it to Mizukichi-sama and CGNII." Then Yagura opened the diary again and flipped through it briefly. Suddenly, Yagura paused, and the content recorded in the diary caught his attention. It turns out that this was left behind by the founder of the Star Ninja Village, the first Hoshikage Shirahoshi. It records in detail the origin and history of the Star Ninja Village. What caught Yagura's attention was a magical meteorite recorded in it. So this is the core of the Star Ninja Village. The so-called meteor can not only promote the growth of chakra, but this unique peacock technique can also be performed by practicing the chakra of the meteor. Yagura muttered to himself, although it has extremely terrible hidden dangers, it is indeed a rare good thing. Then the next step is to find it and bring it back to the village. Yagura smiled, not expecting there would be an unexpected surprise. He turned around and left, quickly going outside. At this time, the battle was basically over, and there were star ninjas lying on the ground wailing everywhere. Yagura found Chino Kizuna and told her about the falling star. Chino Kizuna understood instantly and walked aside. She mentioned a star ninja who was seriously injured but not yet dead, and activated the illusion. Interrogation for information can be said to be a compulsory course for all Anbu ninjas. As a member of the Anbu, even if you are not proficient in illusion, you have mastered it more or less. It is more than enough to interrogate a dying ninja. Seeing is in, the stone chamber. Lord Seeing, seals, and cannot enter, the barrier. Under the effect of Chino Kizuna's illusion, the seriously injured and dying Seeing ninja spoke out the information they wanted to know incoherently without any resistance. Let's go. It should be nearby. Its aura must be covered by the barrier. Chino Kizuna said to Yagura, then turned around and told Zi and others to search for any fish that had escaped the net, and then took Yagura to the stone chamber where the meteor was placed. Soon, the two found the stone chamber hidden in the shadow of a tall building. The stone chamber was extremely clean and tidy. Apart from the purple meteorite placed on the platform in the middle, there was nothing else. This must be the star of the Star Ninja Village. Yagura looked at it with a slightly fiery look in his eyes. It could activate chakra to the point where it could easily leave the body and form various chakra beasts. This was undoubtedly a great treasure. Taking a step forward, Yagura was just about to put away the meteor, but suddenly a transparent light curtain appeared in front of him, blocking Yagura from continuing to approach the meteor. Barrier. Chino Kizuna said, but there was no surprise in her tone. The Star Ninja just mentioned the barrier, but the two did not encounter any obstacles along the way. They did not expect that the Star Ninja Village did not place the barrier outside the stone chamber, but set up a barrier alone for the meteorite. Let me do it. Chino Kizuna said in a low voice, her tone full of confidence. There was no one maintaining the barrier anymore, so it would not be difficult to break it. Yagura took 2 steps back to make way for Chino Kizuna. Chino Kizuna raised her hands horizontally like a pistol, aiming them at the position above the meteor. She could sense that there was a chakra intersection point of the barrier here. In the absence of anyone guarding it, attacking here would make it easier to break the barrier. Water style, water cannon technique. Double ding. 2 highly compressed and condensed water bullets shot out from the fingertips of Chino Kizuna's hands. The node of the barrier suffered such a strong blow that without chakra replenishment, it lasted for a moment before the entire barrier shattered. A chakra aura with unique radioactive properties began to spread outward. Yagura stepped forward, grabbed the meteorite, and began to examine it carefully. Chapter 96. The appearance of this meteorite is not quite the same as a normal meteorite. Yagura has personally seen the meteorite samples collected in the headquarters of the Kirigakure Audiobook. During the process of falling into the ninja world, the meteorite has become smoother and rounder due to the friction of the air. But the one in his hand, although it is a regular sphere about the size of 2 fists, its surface is indeed not regular at all. It is covered with pits of various sizes and shapes everywhere. It does not look like it has been rubbed by the air due to falling at high speed. After sensing it more carefully, Yagura actually sensed a chakra that was extremely active and of extremely high quality inside the star. In fact, if Yagura and Chinano had seen the chakra of the tailed beasts, they would have discovered that the chakra contained in the star was extremely similar in nature to the chakra of the tailed beasts. But unfortunately, with their current status, they are not yet able to access the village's core secrets such as the tailed beasts. After playing with it for a long time without seeing any clues, Yagura handed it to Chinano. Chinano was not very interested in it. She took out a storage scroll and put the scroll in it, planning to give it to the 3rd Mizukage when she returned to the village to hand in the task. The battlefield of the Kingdom of Rain. As Ebizo and Raza fell into disadvantage one after another and showed signs of defeat, and after Kiyoshi defeated the 3rd Kazekage Tessa in a one-on-one situation, the Sand Village no longer had any room to struggle. Tisha had been lifted out of the deep pit by Kingsley. At this moment, black rods were inserted into his limbs and he was firmly nailed to the ground. Mails from Tsunagakure. Stop. We have lost this war. Tisha endured the pain and gave orders word by word. His deep and hoarse voice, enhanced by chakra, spread throughout the battlefield. Hearing the order from their own Kazekage, the sand ninjas who were still fighting looked in the direction of the voice in disbelief. When they really saw the invincible 3rd Kazekage lying powerlessly on the ground, their faith collapsed instantly, the weapons in their hands slipped to the ground, their eyes were filled with tears, and some even squatted on the ground and began to cry loudly. Cho is also a single woman. Seeing that things are hopeless, she decisively reaches a temporary verbal agreement with Hanzo at a fast speed. After all, she is the official commander of the Sand Village troops. Kiyoshi had no objection to this. The 7 of them were hired by Hanzo in the first place, so of course whatever Hanzo said was the final word. As long as the 3rd Kazekage Tetsusa gave enough benefits, the 7 ninja swordsmen led by Kiyoshi had exceeded their mission anyway. If they didn't want to cause any trouble, the Sand Village would have to change a cage. Both sides acted quickly, and after a heated debate, a formal agreement was reached between the Sand Village and the Rain Village in the evening of the same day. Moreover, under Chiyo's insistence, Hanzo also made certain concessions in terms of compensation. Afterwards, the 2 sides formally signed the Rain and Sand Armistice Treaty. With the signing of the Rain and Sand Armistice Treaty, the Sand and Sand battlefield of the Second Ninja World War officially came to an end. Although Kiyoshi and the others had returned to the camp to rest and were not at the scene, Hanzo Salamander was still sensible enough to send someone to deliver the results and the scroll of wind-style ninjutsu that the 3rd Kazekage Tessa promised to give to Kiyoshi. This was exactly what Kiyoshi was waiting for. Actually, Hanzo originally did not want to tell the specific details of the treaty signed between Kirigakure and Kumigakure. Although he had made relevant agreements with the Mizukage and the Reikage when he was hired, this was confidential information after all, so how could he easily reveal it to other villages? However, the strong strength of Seiji and others and their great prowess on the battlefield deeply shocked Hanzo, making him not have enough courage to tear up the original agreement. The war had been going on for more than a year, and Hanzo's spirit was no longer as high as before. Cage. Send a message to Mizukage-sama and inform him of the outcome of the war. Tsunagakure will pay Omegakure 36 million ryo per year for 5 years as a war indemnity. Then at Omegakure's request, Tsunagakure has agreed and will launch attacks on Konoha simultaneously 1 month later on February 2, the 18th year of Kirigakure. Kirigakure will gather the strength of the entire village to fight a decisive battle with Konoha, and Tsunagakure will send an elite force to launch a surprise attack on the Land of Fire. Please make preparations in time, Mizukage-sama, our Kirigakure's chance has come. At the same time, ask Mizukage-sama for instructions on the next action plan for our 7 ninja swordsmen. Kyoshi said to Sato Kage, who was also resting on the side. As a former Enbu squad leader, Sato Kage naturally knew how to quickly transmit information back to the village. Of course, Kyoshi also had it, but as a captain, how could he do everything by himself? Otherwise, what was the point of having subordinates? Ziguishin, you are responsible for going to the Union base in the north and informing Union of this news. Kingxi turned around and said to Ziguishin Puffer Ghost. Yes. The two responded respectfully. Not long after, the reply from the third Mizukage Bing arrived. It turned out that Sato Kage had signed a summoning contract with the village's messaging Ninja Eagle, and the Ninja Eagle that he signed the contract with happened to be resting in the village's Anbu headquarters, so the news was quickly delivered to Bing. Sato Ying took the mission scroll from Ninja Hawk and handed it to Kingxi. Kingxi quickly unsealed the mission scroll with a specific seal, and then quickly read Bing's arrangements for them. Chapter 97. Thanks to the time decided by Omegakure and Tsunagakure to launch the attack on Konoha, Seiji and others were given about half a month's vacation. Bing had only one request for them, which was to rush to the Kirigakure forward base in the north of Bear Country before February 2. Kirigakure would land in Whirlpool Country simultaneously on February 17, the day the war broke out. The rain kept falling. After completing the mission and entering a vacation state, Kingxi took off his mask, performed a transformation, and began to walk aimlessly in the rain country. Last time, due to a mission he was on, he didn't have time to take a good look at this country whose weather was quite similar to that of the water country. After the Sand Village and the Hidden Leaf Village pushed the battle line back into the Land of Rain, the Land of Rain suffered devastating destruction in every sense of the word. Although not attacking civilians is a common rule followed by ninjas throughout the ninja world, there are always some ninjas who don't care about it at all. In addition, the scope of the battle between ninjas is not small and it can easily spread to nearby villages and towns. Thus, the nightmare of the rain country has come. Even though the Hidden Rain Village has an invincible Hanzo of the Salamander who is known as a demigod, his power is ultimately limited. He cannot stop all the Sand Village and Konoha ninjas who are wreaking havoc in the Land of Rain, not to mention that there are Black Zetsu and White Zetsu secretly working to make things more difficult for him. By the 36th year of Kirigakure, the war had been going on for more than a year and had almost destroyed the entire rain country. There were fleeing civilians and broken walls everywhere. The sky was grey and sunlight was a luxury for the people in this country. There were dense dark clouds everywhere. Because of the weather or the war, the air was filled with an extremely depressing atmosphere. Kingxi stopped, looked up at the sky, and said silently in his heart, "This country is crying." The Land of Rain, a dilapidated town near the Land of Fire. Two thin figures hid in the shadows, their eyes full of desire for the fragrant food in the market not far away. After a long time, the orange-haired boy turned around and glanced at the girl who was shivering behind him, and his eyes gradually became firm. The girl had lavender hair and although her clothes were shabby, her eyes were clear and moving, like a clear spring, which made people feel pity for her. Although her life was difficult, there was no resentment or despair in her eyes. "Xiao Nan!" The boy called softly, his tone hinting at weakness. He hadn't eaten for almost 3 days. Yet, after a long time, the girl nodded vigorously to the boy. She knew what the boy meant. Although she didn't want to, the two of them could not live happily anymore. The boy was very active and after the girl agreed, he immediately rushed to the market not far away. Although this town had been invaded and looted several times by Konoha ninjas, there was no other way but to survive. The boy kept moving between the stalls in the market. His agile movements did not show that he was a child who had been hungry for 3 days. All that could be seen was his desire to survive. At this time, there was a burst of scolding. The boy's little trick was discovered. Without bothering to see what food he had got, the boy clung to the hope of their survival, and made various flexible moves and fled desperately. "Run faster, run faster!" The boy kept cheering himself up in his heart. He knew what would happen to him if he was caught. Even if he was not beaten to death, the food he had stolen with great difficulty would be taken away. Even though he was very careful and only took a very small amount from each family, he was still discovered. Yahiko! Looking at the boy who was running away frantically, the girl's eyes were filled with tears, and she began to regret that she had just agreed to the boy's actions. The girl plucked up her courage and was about to pick up a stone on the ground and throw it at the stall owners who were chasing the boy, when she heard a very rhythmic sound of footsteps in the distance, and at the same time an oppressive aura came over. The stall owners who were chasing the boy were intimidated by the aura and couldn't help but stop and look tremblingly in the direction of the footsteps. They were very familiar with this aura. Another ninja was visiting their town. Thump, thump, thump. The rhythmic footsteps are getting closer and closer. The visitor was Kingxi, who was wandering around the rain country. Following the guidance of fate, Kingxi came here. But the boy didn't care about all that. It could be said that he was ignorant and fearless. When the stall owners stopped chasing him, he quickly grabbed the girl's hand and fled with her. Although some of the food was lost during the escape, the remaining food was enough for him and the girl to have a full meal with some left over. Chapter 98. Huff, huff, huff. The boy and the girl were breathing heavily together. The little strength they had left was completely consumed in the chase. The two of them lay weakly on the ground, looked into each other's eyes, and smiled. They could survive. The boy's name is Yahiko and the girl's name is Konan. Both are war orphans from the rain country. They met a year ago and have been dependent on each other ever since, struggling to survive together in this weeping country. Yahiko took out a piece of food from his arms, moved his throat, and then handed a part of it to Xionan who was lying beside him. Xionan smiled at Yahiko peacefully, took the food, and the two of them couldn't wait to open the food packaging and began to eat it with rainwater. Their pale faces quickly turned rosy as they ate the food. The food was disappearing at an alarming rate. After all, they were both starving. Konan was slightly better off as Yahiko had given her his last bite of food, but he had been hungry for almost 3 days, surviving only on rainwater. I can't eat any more, I have to leave some. Yahiko frowned slightly, put down the food in his hand, and thought to himself. Although he was only 70% full, they were still in a situation where they had no food to eat, so they had to leave enough food. It was enough for Xionan to eat, and as a man, he could go hungry for a while. At this time, the sound of dogs barking was heard in the distance, and it was getting closer and closer to them. A skinny brown puppy ran towards them. Although it couldn't speak, its actions expressed its eagerness. Konan, who had already eaten her fill, stood up and said to Yahiko, "It seems like it wants us to go somewhere. Then let's go and take a look." Yahiko also stood up, carefully packed up the remaining food, and then followed the puppy with Konan. In the distance, a thin, motionless figure lay on his back, his bright red hair scattered in the muddy puddle. The puppy rushed forward and kept circling around the figure anxiously. Yahiko and Konan followed and looked at the boy lying on the ground with a slightly changed expression. Yahiko and Konan, who still had good intentions in their hearts, immediately bent down and worked together to help the unconscious red-haired boy up. Konan's hand accidentally brushed his forehead. "Ah! Yahiko, he has a fever." Konan was startled, then shouted to Yahiko with a hint of anxiety in her tone. Although they were full and satisfied, it was still quite difficult for Yahiko and Konan to lift a child who looked about the same age as them. After some effort, they finally lifted the red-haired boy to the nearby cave where they usually sheltered from the rain, with the brown puppy following behind them. Cough, cough, cough. Suddenly, the red-haired boy's body shook violently and a violent cough was heard. The red-haired boy weakly opened his eyes and opened his mouth, wanting to speak but no sound came out. At this moment, he didn't even have the strength to speak. Konan's bright eyes looked at Yahiko. Yahiko smiled bitterly, stood up, and walked out of the cave. He understood what Konan meant. Yahiko collected some rainwater outside and came back to feed the red-haired boy. Then, with a look of regret, he took out some food that he had originally planned to save for later, mashed it up, and had Konan feed it to the red-haired boy bit by bit. Seeing its owner wake up, the puppy beside it couldn't help but bark happily. After drinking some water and eating something to regain some strength, the red-haired boy thanked the two and fell asleep again. Yahiko and Konan, who had been busy for half a day, breathed a sigh of relief when they saw that the red-haired boy was fine. Then they felt sleepy and tired and fell asleep leaning against each other. When the red-haired boy woke up again, it was already the next morning and it was still raining outside. The red-haired boy struggled to get up from the ground and knelt on the ground. Thanks to the timely food, he was out of danger now. Although he was still burning, it was no longer a big deal. "Thank you," the shy red-haired boy whispered. He knew that it was the two people in front of him who saved him. At the same time, he stroked the puppy that came over when it saw its owner wake up, and said to it, "Thank you too." There was another silence. After a moment, the red-haired boy spoke and introduced himself. His voice was much louder than before. "My name is Nagato." Konan smiled kindly at Nagato, her big eyes curved into a crescent. "I'm Konan." Yahiko also smiled. That sunny smile was like a ray of hope that pierced through the haze and shone straight into Nagato's heart. "My name is Yahiko, let's live together from now on." "Of course, you too." Yahiko added to the puppy. Of course, he would not forget this very human puppy. Nagato lowered his head shyly, his long red hair covering his purple wavy eyes, but his voice came through. Hearing the answer, Yahiko and Konan smiled again, and the days to come would no longer be just the two of them. The life of 3 people and a dog began. The next day, in the evening, the food that Yahiko had saved was used up. Although he had tried to be frugal as possible, with 2 more mouths to feed, the food was still consumed quickly. "Oh! I really don't know what to do. Damn war, damn ninja world." The faces of several people were not looking good. The war had caused too much damage to the Rain country. The rule of the Rain country over the towns below had almost completely collapsed. There were war orphans like them everywhere, and the civilians were struggling to survive. "In the future, I must change this ninja world," Yahiko said fiercely. At this moment, his eyes were full of desire for power. He longed for power to allow himself to survive, longed for power to protect Konan, Nagato and the little brown puppy, longed for power to change this country, longed for power to change the entire ninja world, longed for power to bring peace to the ninja world and prevent wars from happening again. Konan and Nagato did not have such ambitions, but they nodded in agreement. They trusted Yahiko deeply. The friendship and bond between young people always develop quickly, and within a few days, although Nagato was not good at speaking and didn't talk much, he successfully integrated into Yahiko and Konan. The time spent together in adversity deepened the bond between the 3 of them rapidly. The sky was gloomy in the evening, as if covered by a layer of gauze. The drizzle fell down, like cow hair, like flower needles, densely weaving diagonally, and the raindrops fell on the floating water on the ground, rippling circles of ripples. In the shadow of the street corner, the 3 little ones were hiding, looking at the stalls in the market that had not yet closed, swallowing their saliva in their throats, their eyes full of desire. At night, it was already completely dark, but in the end, even after all the stalls were removed, the 3 still did not dare to take action. With the experience of Yahiko yesterday, if they were discovered and caught again, they were afraid that the outcome would not be good. They would not be so lucky every time. As night fell, the town became unusually quiet, as if time had frozen. At this moment, the streets were empty, with only faint lights swaying in the wind. The 3 exhausted children were carefully groping forward in the darkness, preparing to return to their cave near the town. At this moment, a chaotic and hurried sound of footsteps broke the silence around them. Clap! 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 In the distance, several black ninja shoes were stepping quickly on the puddles. Every time they stepped on the water, water splashed up, scattered in all directions, and merged with the rain. The rain began to get heavier, like a pouring waterfall, covering the whole world in a vast curtain of rain. The 3 children looked vigilantly in the direction of the sound, their heartbeats speeding up involuntarily. The tense atmosphere filled the air, making them breathless. As the footsteps got closer, the 3 kids' nerves became tense. Suddenly, a flash of lightning streaked across the night sky, illuminating the road ahead. In their brief vision, they caught a glimpse of several blurry figures, wearing black raincoats and forehead guards with swirling leaves engraved on them, moving at high speed in the rain like ghosts. Chapter 99. Nagato stared at the forehead protector that looked like a leaf, hatred welling up in his heart. His long red hair fluttered slightly, and circles of ripples in his purple pupils hidden by his hair were spreading rapidly. His parents were killed by Konoha ninjas wearing this kind of forehead protector. After the outbreak of the war, Nagato's father Ise and mother Fuzu, as doctors of the Hidden Rain village, even followed the Hidden Rain army to the front line. There was no problem at the beginning of the war. The Hidden Rain army invaded the Land of Fire and the Land of Wind with great momentum. But then, with the counterattack of Konoha and Sand Village, when the front line was gradually pushed back to the Land of Rain, things began to change. The Konoha ninja and the Sand Village ninja were wreaking havoc in the Land of Rain, and countless towns were looted. Although Nagato's parents were doctors in the Hidden Rain village, not ninjas, they did not live in the Hidden Rain village. So, one day when Nagato's parents went home for vacation, they were killed by 2 Konoha ninjas who broke into their home to protect the young Nagato. Nagato's samsara eye was also awakened by the death of his parents, and he killed the 2 little Konoha ninjas. 99% of the time, this was done by Black Zetsu or Uchiha Madara. Suddenly, a thick streak of lightning flashed across the sky again, and this time, the faces of the Konoha ninjas were clearly reflected. The person in the lead had pale skin, long black hair, snake-like golden pupils, and purple eyeshadow. He was Orochimaru, one of the disciples of the 3rd Hokage of Konoha village, Sarutobi Hiruzen. Upon learning of the ceasefire between Rain village and Sunagakure, Orochimaru, as one of the Konoha commanders on the battlefield, sensed that a war was approaching and prepared to lead a team to the heart of the Rain country to capture a few Rain ninjas and bring them back for interrogation. He wanted to learn the next specific moves of the Rain village so that he could make early deployments. And this small town was just a place they passed through while carrying out their mission. Lord Orochimaru. A ninja from the Aberme clan behind him said, "I sense an unusual chakra fluctuation in this town." What this person sensed was the chakra and eye power that was slightly emitted by Nagato because of the hatred aroused in his heart. Orochimaru's narrow snake eyes suddenly turned cold. The news that they had penetrated deep into the heart of the Rain country must not leak out. Orochimaru formed seals with his hands, and his perception began to spread wildly throughout the town. Ninjutsu, chakra sensing technique. With a smile on his face, Orochimaru felt relieved. "I found you." He then instantly entered the town, and the 6 ninjas behind him quickly followed. "Oh no! I've been discovered!" Nagato exclaimed. The perception of the Rinnegan clearly told Nagato that he was discovered. He knew that there was something wrong with his eyes, and that he had some strange abilities. He also knew that he had implicated his 2 good friends because he had leaked a trace of his aura. "Run!" Yahiko made a prompt decision, pulled Nagato and Konan and ran away, but how could 3 ordinary children outrun a ninja? Not to mention Orochimaru, who was already a cage. Looking at the 7 Konoha ninjas who were blocking the way ahead, and Orochimaru's evil pupils and pale face revealed in the occasional lightning, the 3 little ones were so frightened by the murderous aura emanating from Orochimaru that they were trembling with fear. "Sir! They are 3 little children." A ninja behind him hesitated. Orochimaru was silent for a moment, but he still ordered cruelly, his hoarse voice echoing in the rain, "Anyone who might reveal our whereabouts must not be spared. Don't leave a single one alive." "Yes." The 6 ninjas behind him hesitated for a moment, but decided to obey Orochimaru's orders. One of the ninjas from the Moonlight clan drew out the ninja sword on his back and slashed at the necks of Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan with one instant. Since it was inevitable to kill the 3 children, the only thing he could do was to try his best to prevent them from feeling the pain of death. Yahiko and Konan opened their eyes wide. They had already felt the breath of death. They were frightened by the murderous aura and trembled on the spot. They had no ability to resist and could only wait for death to come. At this moment, Nagato was filled with remorse. He hated his carelessness for getting his 2 good friends into trouble, and he also hated his own strength. If he had great power, his parents might not have died, and they would not be in the dying situation now. An ominous aura began to rise from Nagato's body. Regret, resentment, and tangled emotions resonated with the Rinnegan, and the destructive power of the pupils began to unconsciously spread around. Orochimaru shuddered suddenly, as if he sensed something, and his eyes moved back and forth among the 3 little ones. Just as the Moonlight clan ninja's sword was about to cut the necks of the 3 people, and also when Nagato's Rinnegan was about to explode, a figure quietly appeared between the 3 little ones and the Moonlight clan ninja. With his back to the oncoming sword, a slender white hand gently rested on Nagato's shoulder, and Nagato's surging pupil power that was about to explode instantly dissipated into nothingness. When a crisp sound was heard, echoing in the silent rainy night. The Moonlight clan ninja's sword slashed the man's back, and then nothing happened. Orochimaru, who was observing from behind, couldn't help but have his pupils shrink violently. He didn't realize how the newcomer appeared at all, and was also shocked that the newcomer could withstand the attack of the Moonlight clan ninja without any damage to his body. You have to know that this was a slashing attack from a senior ninja of the Moonlight clan. The Moonlight clan is extremely skilled in swordsmanship and knife skills. Even if it was a casual attack, it was not something that an ordinary ninja could block with their body. The person who came was Ching Si. He used the power of the corpse bone vein to form a solid bone shield behind him, easily blocking the swift attack. According to the information given in the Book of Formations, Nagato died in the 64th year of Konoha, which is the 64th year of Kirigakure according to the setting of this book, due to exhaustion of his vitality by the outer path, reincarnation technique. He was 35 years old when he died. Therefore, we can infer that Nagato was born in the 29th year of Kirigakure. According to another piece of information given, when Nagato was 10 years old, that is, in the 39th year of the Hidden Mist, under Jiraiya's 3 years of instruction, he mastered the changes of the 6 chakra attributes of fire, water, earth, wind, lightning, and yang. From this, it can be inferred that the battle between Hanzo of the Salamander and Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru took place in the 36th year of the Hidden Mist, which is the time point that is being written now. Therefore, the time of awakening of the Rinnegan should be earlier. The Rinnegan was awakened during the war between Konoha and Omegakure, so it is speculated that it is most likely in the 35th year of Kirigakure. Nagato himself does not have yin attribute. The official data given for Nagato is 6 attributes, but he did learn yin-yang escape later, so the yin attribute should be brought by Uchiha Madara's Samsara Eye. In addition, Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko are of the same age. Konan's age is clearly given as the same as Nagato, while the official statement about Yahiko is only that he was 15 years old when he died. Based on this, it can be inferred that Yahiko is either the same age as Nagato and Konan, or 1 or 2 years older. Chapter 100. Yahiko, Nagato, and Konan, who were already in despair, looked at Kyoji who suddenly appeared in front of them and helped them block the fatal blow, and they couldn't help but reveal a look of relief on their faces. At this moment, Kyoji's figure was incomparably tall in the eyes of the 3 little ones, and Kyoji's pure blue eyes were like a meteor that cut through the darkness, illuminating their road to hope. Seeing Kingxi suddenly appear in front of him and block his full-strength attack, the Moonlight Clan ninja couldn't help but get furious. He jumped back high, formed a seal with one hand, and white smoke came out. The 2 shadow clones and the original body, a total of 3 people, attacked Kingxi from the top, left and right at the same time. Konoha-style sword art, crescent moon dance. Big brother, be careful. Looking at this fancy attack, the 3 little ones, who were still trembling with the fear of death and the joy of surviving a disaster, shouted a warning to Kingxi at the same time. Haha, what kind kids? Ching-si sighed, it wasn't in vain that he saved these 3 little ones. With the 360 degrees vision of his pure eye, Kingxi could see every move of the Konoha ninjas behind him very clearly, but he didn't care. The chakra in the body began to boil slightly, and bone spurs suddenly broke out from the back of the body, stabbing in the 3 directions of the attack. Shakebone pulse dance of Karamatsu. Boom! Boom! The shadow clones attacking from the left and right directions were directly pierced by the bone spurs, and the original body that attacked from above waved the ninja sword to resist for a while, but soon followed in the footsteps of the shadow clones. Unfortunately, the original body did not have the fault tolerance of the shadow clones, and the bone spur hit the center of the mouth, killing the Moonlight Clan ninja in one blow. There's something, but not much. Kingxi said calmly, his tone full of sarcasm. Wow, so strong. The 3 little ones were so surprised that they couldn't close their mouths as they saw Kingxi kill the enemy without even turning his body. Although Kingxi admitted that as a ninja, he was definitely not a good person, but attacking civilians, even half-grown children, did cross his bottom line. If the 3 little ones were just ninjas, it would be fine, but he didn't believe that these Konoha ninjas couldn't see that the 3 little ones had never undergone ninja training and were just simple war orphans. Therefore, he had no good feelings towards Orochimaru and the other 7 Konoha ninjas, which was one of the reasons why he rescued the 3 little ones. Another reason, of course, was that he had just sensed the aura of Nagato's Rinnegan that was about to erupt, and he had felt this aura a few years ago. Although he was very puzzled as to why Uchiha Madara's Rinnegan appeared on a child, he still took decisive action. Under the observation of the pure eye, through the long red hair covering Nagato's eyes, Kingxi could clearly see the wavy pupils with a purple tint. He could also clearly sense a breath that was quite similar to the breath of Otsutsuki Hagoromo in his memory. All this happened in just a moment, and before Orochimaru could make any move, Kyoji had already killed him instantly. In fact, when Orochimaru and the other 7 approached the town, Seiji had already sensed their presence. Kyoji opened his pure eye to observe and recognized Orochimaru, the leader of the team, at a glance. As one of the 3 disciples of the 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and also one of the cage-level fighters of Konoha village, Orochimaru had some fame in the ninja world. At first, Kingsley thought that the Konoha ninja had some idea about him because of him, so they came to him. But then he changed his mind and realized that this was not right. He had already used the transformation technique, and although he did not pay too much attention along the way, Kingsley was confident that his whereabouts had not been exposed. On the other side, Black Zetsu, who was monitoring and protecting Nagato from a distance, was originally ready to take action to save Nagato's life, because he knew that no matter how powerful the Rinnegan was, the host at this time was ultimately a 7-year-old child who had not received orthodox training. But after seeing Kyoji appear and save Nagato, he shrank back and continued to hide quietly in the distance, observing silently. As a 1,000-year-old villain, the ultimate behind-the-scenes manipulator of the ninja world, and the founder of the Inner Circle, he cannot show up easily. As for Kyoshi, since Black Zetsu didn't make any noise and was concentrating on hiding himself, of course he had no awareness of him. After all, Black Zetsu was the third son hastily separated before Kagaya Otsutsuki was sealed. Although he didn't have much combat power, he was a creation of yin-yang release after all. His status was equal to Otsutsuki Hago Romo and Hamura. His skill points in hiding were indeed maxed out. However, Black Zetsu, the descendant of Hago Romo, who has been paying attention to Kyoji for thousands of years, did not care about the fact that Kyoji had displayed the ability of the corpse bone vein. At this time, Black Zetsu had not yet realized the seriousness of the matter. The Hidden Mist Village, is that the Kagaya clan? Orochimaru recognized them the moment the corpse vein appeared, but at the same time he gave up the idea of going forward to rescue them. The Kagaya clan's powerful close combat ability is well known throughout the ninja world. It seems that the information that Hanzo hired Kirigakure and Kumigakure is true. Many thoughts emerged in Orochimaru's mind, and then he secretly decided that the most urgent task was to kill everyone present except the Konoha ninjas, and their news must not be leaked. The normal mission process should be to sneak in secretly, then capture a few rain ninjas, and quickly retreat back to their own camp, but now they are at risk of being exposed. Once exposed, he has no confidence in breaking through the heavy blockade of the Hidden Rain Village. Kingsley slowly turned around and said to Orochimaru and the others calmly, "Have the ninjas of Konoha fallen to the point of attacking children?" Looking at Seiji's pure eyes that were faintly flickering in the dark rainy night, Orochimaru was shocked again. He had never heard that the Hyuga clan had abilities related to their eyes. After calming himself down, Orochimaru quickly formed seals with his hands, and chakra began to gather continuously. He had to fight after all. Wind escape big breakthrough. A gust of wind blew out from Orochimaru's mouth and rushed towards Kingsley's position. The insidious Orochimaru still did not give up on killing the three little ones. The battle started in an instant. Seeing that Orochimaru, the captain, had taken action, the remaining 5 Konoha ninjas also began to form hand seals. Fire release, Phoenix Immortal Fire Technique. Fire release Fire Bullet. Fire style, Fire Walk Technique. Wind escape Feng Feng. Secret technique Insect Jade. The overwhelming ninjutsu swept in with a destructive aura. Chapter 101. Looking at the incoming ninjutsu, the 3 little ones behind him were frightened pale by the power of the ninjutsu, but Kingsley was not afraid at all. His pupil power flowed slightly in his right eye. He calmly took out the mask from the Takamaji Ehara space, put it on elegantly, and then lifted the transformation technique. Orochimaru is not an easy character to deal with, and fighting him with a transformation technique is not a wise choice. Just hide aside. Ching Si said casually to the 3 little ones behind him, and put his hands together. In such heavy rain, it was too easy to use water escape. Water escape water formation wall. A water curtain appeared in front of Kingji, blocking all the ninjutsu. In such heavy rain, even the fire style enhanced by the wind style would be weakened to a certain extent. On the other hand, Ching Si's water formation wall had the bonus of the weather, so the first wave of the 2 sides were evenly matched. Buzz! A noisy sound of insects was heard. They were the insects of the Aberame clan ninjas. The water array wall could not stop these little creatures. With a sweep of his pure eyes, Kingsley directly locked onto the position of the Aberame clan ninja. Kill this troublesome insect user first. Then he changed the seals of his hands. Thunder escape earth walk. The rain-soaked ground became the best conductor for lightning. Except for Orochimaru who reacted in time and quickly jumped back to avoid it, and the Aberame ninja who used insect substitutes to avoid it, the other 4 Konoha Jonin were caught off guard and were instantly paralyzed on the spot. King C's performance does not match their impression of the Kagaya clan's bloodline ninja who has awakened the corpse bloodline. It can only be said that wrong information is fatal. However, they did not have the chance to correct their impressions, as CG once again performed the eye technique Takamagahara, and this time he took out his weapons, the double swords, Aoi. The moment he held the flounder, chakra rushed into its interior at a rapid speed without wasting time on accumulating power. The several paralyzed Konoha ninjas were the best targets. King C separated the flounder and turned it into a real double sword, then crossed his hands and slashed forward heavily. Since he failed to control the most annoying insect user, he might as well clear the field first. Dual Sword Ninjutsu, Bone Pulling. The move that Kojuro used to attack Otsutsuki Kin's Hiki, I remember it was called this, but I can't find it in the official book. Can anyone tell me if it's correct? Several chakra light spikes pierced the vital points of the 4 Konoha ninjas who were controlled. Under the lock of King C's pure eyes, there was no possibility of deviation. The chakra light spikes instantly pierced their hearts. These 4 extra Jonins who didn't even have a name didn't even have time to say a word. In less than 1 round of fighting, King C sent them to see the Sage of 6 Paths. However, at this time, the parasitic bugs controlled by the Aberame clan ninjas also came near Kiyoshi. He originally thought that in the dark, his parasitic bugs would be easily ignored by Kiyoshi, but he didn't know that Kiyoshi could see the parasitic bugs flying all over the sky clearly in his pure eyes. Secret technique, Insect Tornado. The Aberame clan ninja controlled the large number of parasitic insects that had already spread around Kiyoshi to form a swarm of insects tornado, wrapping Kiyoshi in the middle. At the same time, Orochimaru's next wave of ninjutsu was completed. Orochimaru had already started to form hand seals when he jumped back to avoid Seiji's lightning escape, and when he landed, the technique was just completed. Wind Release Vacuum Jade. The B-level wind jutsu used by the cage-level powerhouse Orochimaru was extremely powerful. A huge compressed air cannon roared towards King C. King C had a blank expression on his face and was not afraid at all. It was just a duel, so who was afraid of who? Floor, liberation. King C merged the 2 swords into one, and then a huge chakra gas bullet violently shot out from the sword and collided head-on with the air cannon that was coming at him at a very high speed. Boom! The collision between the 2 produced a huge explosion, and the dense rain curtain seemed to pause for a moment. The rain rolled back, and thick smoke rose up, but this could not stop King C who had the pure eyes. He looked through the thick smoke and instantly locked the position of the Aberame clan ninja. It's your turn. King C raised the corner of his mouth slightly, put the double swords, flounder, back into the Takamagahara space, and his spine quickly pierced through the clothes and broke out of his body from behind. Corpse Vein, Dance of the Wire Flower. Vines. The dark white bone whip silently passed through the smoke and quickly swung towards the direction of the Aberame clan ninja. The Aberame ninja sensed the parasitic bug's crazy warning and tried to avoid it, but it was too late. His body could not keep up with his thoughts, and the bone whip instantly entangled his body, binding him tightly. Damn it! The Aberame ninja struggled to break free from the restraints and wanted to use the insect substitute again, but the bone whip became tighter and tighter, and the bone whip contained some yin-yang ji chakra, which blocked the flow of chakra in his body and made him lose the means of resistance. It's over. Ching Si said lightly, pulling the bone whip towards himself with force, and at the same time his body rushed forward like an arrow. Corpse Vein, Dance of the Wire Flower. Flower. The sharp bone drill pierced through the body of the Aberame clan ninja head-on, and blood splattered everywhere. But at this time, Orochimaru's attack also arrived. Ninja Technique Latent Shadow Multi-Snake Hand. At the cost of the Aberame clan ninja being killed by Kiyoshi, Orochimaru finally caught Kiyoshi. Several thick pythons sprang out from Orochimaru's sleeves and tightly wrapped around Kiyoshi's body. Although King C didn't care about this attack, the feeling of having the slippery python wrapped around his body was not pleasant at all. The bone spur broke out of his body again and pierced the python wrapped around his body. The corpses of the pythons kept falling from King C's body. Shakebone Pulse Dance of Karamatsu. However, Orochimaru didn't care about the life or death of these pythons at all. There were plenty of ordinary pythons of this type in the Ryokai cave. Countless pythons kept coming out from his sleeves one after another. He was determined to imprison King C despite the damage from the bone spurs. Hat. Ching Si chuckled. He was indeed a cold-blooded snake. Immediately afterwards, the eye technique Xiaoming Biguna was activated, and King C suddenly disappeared from Orochimaru's sight. The pythons that were madly wrapping around King C suddenly lost their target and fell to the ground one after another. Orochimaru's evil snake pupils suddenly shrank. The sudden disappearance of CG was beyond his cognition. He had never encountered such a way of escaping from his restraints. However, Orochimaru was worthy of being the most proud disciple of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, the man who would master the core technology of the ninja world in the future. He quickly calmed down and quickly scanned the surroundings, but was surprised to find that Seiji's breath did not move at all and remained in the same place. At this time, King C's figure appeared again, and he was indeed in the same place. Orochimaru looked at the sky blue pupils under King C's mask, and his heart suddenly realized. It looks like some kind of eye technique. It can shrink my body. Orochimaru thought to himself. Having seen through the mystery of how CG broke free from his restraints, Orochimaru calmed down. With his extremely high combat IQ, he had already learned about the relevant information about young Konoha. Chapter 102. Well, try this. Orochimaru lay prone on the ground, opened his mouth wide and rushed towards King C. The formation of 10,000 snakes. Various pythons rushed out of Orochimaru's mouth, densely covering the entire area of the battle. The snakes twisted their bodies and crawled quickly on the ground, their bodies intertwined, sometimes entangled together, sometimes separated, and crawled towards King C in a mighty manner. Wherever the snakes passed, the ground trembled slightly and rustled, as if it was the accompaniment of their movements. King C couldn't help but sweat on his forehead as he watched this scene. The Orochimaru in his memory of his previous life, although his moves were very strange, what he saw in the video was indeed not as creepy as seeing it with his own eyes. He really didn't expect that Orochimaru's moves could be so disgusting. Turong spear. King C touched the ground with both hands, and the ground began to tremble under the influence of his chakra. Then, dozens of sharp earth spikes were generated on the ground where the snakes were crawling. Countless pythons were picked up by the earth spikes, and the fishy smell of blood filled the whole area. However, there were too many snakes. Although the ninjutsu named after 10,000 could not actually reach this number, there were still thousands of them. King C looked at the group of snakes that continued to swarm towards him, frowned slightly, and sighed helplessly. Originally, he didn't want to reveal too much personal information to Orochimaru and Konoha. If he could kill Orochimaru, there would be no problem of course, but who knows if Orochimaru, the most difficult person to kill in the ninja world, has any special means of saving his life, even though he has not yet developed the curse seal and reincarnation. Corpse vein dance of early fern. King C decided to use more power. It was obvious that ordinary ninjutsu could not do anything to Orochimaru. Although he was not very confident, King C still wanted to try to kill Orochimaru on the spot. In the blink of an eye, a dense white forest of bones was formed, with the corpses of pierced pythons scattered everywhere. Orochimaru knew enough about the corpse bone veins. When he saw the bone spikes breaking out of the ground, he interrupted the performance of the 10,000 snakes formation and began to retreat quickly. He had already made up his mind to leave. In Orochimaru's eyes, CG, who was able to kill his 6 senior ninja subordinates in an instant, was stronger than him. Since this mission was most likely a failure, what Orochimaru, who valued his life, had to do now was to use all means to protect himself from Seiji's subordinates and bring back the exact news that Kirigakure appeared in the Rain Country and relevant information about Seiji. Seeing that the snakes had been completely slaughtered, King C cut off the chakra that maintained the early fern dance. Looking at Orochimaru who had already escaped for a distance, a fierce look flashed in King C's pure eyes. He formed the tiger seal with both hands and activated the ninjutsu directly. Water release, water dragon bullet technique. Then the seal continued to change, highway zi, lightning release, gratitude wave. The chakra fluctuated violently, lightning flashed continuously, and finally merged into the water dragon. Combined ninjutsu thunder water dragon bullet. A ferocious water dragon flashing with lightning broke through the air and quickly chased after the retreating Orochimaru. Sensing the chakra fluctuations of the thunder water dragon bullet behind him that was enough to seriously injure or even kill him, Orochimaru couldn't help but look back. Looking at the attacking thunder water dragon, Orochimaru couldn't help but curse in his heart, and immediately stopped and prepared to defend himself. While turning around, Orochimaru bit his right thumb and then drew the summoning circle carved on his left arm. Psychic magic. Come and fix the door. A red gate with evil spirits carved on it that King C was very familiar with rose from the ground, just blocking the incoming thunder and water dragon bullet. The thunder and water dragon bomb hit Rashomon, making a huge roar. The two were in a stalemate for a moment, and then Rashomon turned into white smoke and dissipated. The thunder and water dragon bomb also turned into clusters of water splashes, scattered on the ground, containing flickering lightning. Orochimaru also got angry. He said, "My goodness! You won't let me go even when I'm ready to retreat. You want me to fight you to the death." So Orochimaru bit the thumb of his left hand, and then scraped the summoning circle engraved on his left arm. Although he couldn't control this thing very well, there was no other way. If he didn't beat King C back, he was afraid that he would not be able to escape today. Psychic Art. Huge white smoke rose up, and through the smoke, King C clearly saw a giant purple snake with black stripes appearing at the position where Orochimaru had just been. The snake was even slightly larger than the Vulpix he had seen before. It was Orochimaru's most powerful summoning beast, Mandalay. A gruff voice came from the smoke, "Orochimaru. Why are you calling me out? Be careful or I'll eat you." "Oh." King C whispered to himself, "Orochimaru can't control this big guy." The smoke began to dissipate, and Orochimaru stood above Mandarin, staring in the direction of CG. "Mandarin, kill that Kirigakure ninja." "Hey, Orochimaru." Mansaravar didn't take any action. The snake's sense of danger made it realize that King C was not so easy to deal with, so it negotiated with Orochimaru, "You must prepare 200 living people as sacrifices for me afterwards." Orochimaru was speechless. He knew that Mandrake was unreliable. 100. Orochimaru bargained calmly. "Deal." As soon as the words fell, Wan Shi rushed towards King C. Hearing that the snakes wanted to eat living people, King Ci's face turned cold. This giant snake and Orochimaru are really birds of a feather. "Very good, now that you are out, don't go back." Takamagahara. The pupil technique was activated, and 6 huge black cubes were aimed at the snakes rushing towards them, and they kept falling. Although the Great Box Heaven had the function of blocking perception, as the saying goes, fools are better than masters. King Ci's predictive attack did not hit the snakes at all. The snakes did not move at all, but perfectly avoided all the Great Box Heavens. Seeing this, King C had no choice but to start backing away, while at the same time he began to form seals with his hands. If his small body was scratched by the huge snakes, he would not be seriously injured, but would still be covered in dirt. Chapter 103. Water Style, Black Rain Technique. The black oil mixed with the rain water and could not be distinguished on this rainy night. It silently enveloped the world and continuously fell on the bodies of thousands of snakes. And this concealed move, under the cover of night and weather, was not noticed by Orochimaru and Manja at all. This move is the specialty of the Hidden Rain Village. It was something that CG deliberately exchanged with Hanzo of the Salamander using another water-style move after the battle a few days ago. Seeing that the black rain had already dripped onto all parts of Wan Shi's body, King C immediately launched the fire escape. Although the power of the fire escape would be drastically weakened in the pouring rain, it would still burst out with great power under the amplification of the oil. Fire Style, Garuda. A huge fire dragon came out of King C's mouth, circling and rushing towards the 10,000 snakes. "It's just a fire escape." Wan Shi didn't dodge at all, and wanted to rely on his strong body to take on the fire escape that was weakened by the heavy rain, but he didn't know that his body was covered with oil from the black rain technique. A roar. The moment the fire dragon came into contact with the thousands of snakes, the bodies of the thousands of snakes were instantly ignited. The extremely high temperature flames caused the thousands of snakes to roar in pain. The surrounding rainwater was instantly evaporated, producing a thick smoke. Boom! There was another violent explosion. 10,000 snakes exploded. The power of adding fuel to the fire was so terrifying. But King C did not relax at all. With his clear eyes, he saw the whole process clearly. The moment the whole body of Wan Shi was set on fire, it cunningly used the technique of shedding its skin, and its real body burrowed into the ground. In the end, it was only its snakeskin that exploded. When the smoke cleared, as expected, only the snake shavings and remains of the 10,000 snakes were left, and the 10,000 snakes were nowhere to be seen. King C secretly made preparations to give Manshi a big blow. Orochimaru didn't know that the Pure Eye had the same ability as the Byakugan. Manshi's movements underground were observed clearly by King C. The ground cracked instantly, and the huge head of the 10,000 snakes drilled out of the ground and bit King C. King C, who had been prepared, jumped to the side lightly and avoided the premeditated sneak attack of the 10,000 snakes, then clasped his hands together in the air. Water style, water break wave. The high-pressure water flow compressed to the extreme directly chopped towards the heads of the 10,000 snakes. The sharp breath made the 10,000 snakes terrified before they had time to react. This wave was called waiting for the enemy to tire themselves out. In the end, it was Orochimaru who came to the rescue. At the last second before Shui Dangbo was about to behead Man Snake, he cancelled the summoning and sent Man Snake back to Ryokai Cave, leaving only Man Snake's voice echoing in the night sky. Damn Orochimaru, don't forget my 100 human sacrifices. Orochimaru's expression became solemn, and his originally pale face turned dark, and he was filled with rage. If he hadn't cancelled the summoning in time, you, Manjusri, would have been a dead snake by now. How dare you ask me for a sacrifice? However, Orochimaru, who had to cancel the summoning technique in order to save Mandrake's life, was badly tricked. Orochimaru, who had a certain understanding of the Uchiha clan's Sharingan and the Byakugan Hyuga clan, although he didn't know what kind of eyes CG had, it was definitely safe not to engage in close combat with him. After the war started, Orochimaru, who had kept a long distance from CG to guard against Seiji's possible eye techniques, approached CG for the first time. The distance is enough. Kingsee's mouth curled up slightly. Orochimaru's death is approaching. The pure eye stared at Orochimaru, and the eye technique Takamaji Ehara was activated. At the moment when Orochimaru just landed and was adjusting his posture, several black sticks suddenly appeared and pierced into Orochimaru's body. Ugh! Orochimaru let out an unpleasant whimper and fell to the ground weakly. The intense pain caused by his body being pierced made him lose control of his body. Kingsea watched with satisfaction as Orochimaru lost the strength to resist, and slowly walked towards him, with the grey bone spur slowly extending from the palm of his right hand. As Seiji's Otsutsuki bloodline becomes increasingly stronger, the corpse vein grey bone technique is also evolving more and more towards the direction of jointly killing grey bones. Although it is not yet possible to launch it from the palm like Otsutsuki Kagaya, and can only be used close to it, the side effects of burning blood and vitality have long been ineffective against CG. I studied this joint killing of the ash bones again and found that this move is still very limited. The key is that this move is too slow and can't hit anyone at all. When Kagaya Otsutsuki uses it, she can only use aim no Micha to transfer to the gravity space. When everyone is basically unable to move, she can only hit them, or she can sneak attack from behind and say some heart-wrenching words. Now, although it takes a long time for Kingji to recover after using the Ashbone technique, he is still determined to use this move in order to solve the problem of Orochimaru once and for all. Orochimaru, sensing the breath of death, stared at Kyoshi, as if he wanted to remember Kyoshi's chakra breath forever. When Kyoshi was about to approach him, he suddenly gave Kyoshi an evil smile. Sensing something was wrong, Kingsi hurried forward, no longer as calm as before, and poked the grey bone in his hand straight at Orochimaru, but it was too late. A giant snake that had been hidden underground by Orochimaru broke out of the ground, swallowed Orochimaru in one gulp, and then turned into a cloud of white smoke and disappeared in an instant, and the reverse summoning technique was activated. Kingsee's face suddenly darkened. He was angry at being tricked by Orochimaru, but also regretful that he did not give Orochimaru a fatal blow in time. He was indeed the most difficult to kill and the one who was best at saving his life in the ninja world. He was able to escape even though he could not move and his chakra was suppressed. After a long time, Kingsi, who had made a deep summary and reflection, finally let it go. Although Orochimaru had escaped, he was definitely not in a good condition either. He would not be able to recover without half a month's rest. Takamagahara was activated, and Seiji's figure began to blur. After a few seconds, Seiji entered his own Takamagahara space. After changing all the clothes that were damaged and wet due to the battle, taking off the mask, and using the transformation technique again, Seiji activated the pupil technique again and appeared in the same place. Chapter 104. Ching Si slowly looked around, and saw ruins and desolation everywhere. The houses on the edge of the town had been shattered by the aftermath of the battle, and the civilians in the town had long been awakened from their sleep by the fierce sound of the battle. They hurriedly packed their bags and fled here in fear and panic. Now, the whole town fell into a deathly silence, with only the sound of wind and rain whistling past the ears. Kingsi stood there quietly, silent for a long time. His eyes revealed a deep helplessness and sadness. He knew very well that this was a cruel reality. In this ninja world where strength is respected, if you don't have enough strength, you can't even protect your home. Finally, Kingsley sighed deeply and turned away. His steps seemed heavy and firm, as if he was carrying the weight of the world. In fact, CG still has the influence of his past life in his bones. After coming to the ninja world, in addition to the two goals of improving his bloodline and growing into a complete Otsutsuki and planting trees to collect chakra fruits, he also wants to bring the kind of peace that he lived in his previous life to the ninja world. However, he understood that the premise of peace was actually strength. Only by constantly improving his own strength could he have enough power to change everything. When he had the power to overwhelm the entire ninja world, he would be able to bring peace to the ninja world and end all wars. In fact, he believed that Uchiha Madara's idea at the time was correct to a certain extent. If Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama had joined forces to unify the entire ninja world, there might not be such tragic disputes and conflicts as there are now. When there is only one country, all that remains are internal contradictions, and it is unlikely that such a war that sweeps the ninja world will happen again. However, Hashirama Senju finally rejected Uchiha Madara's idea, and the deformed system of one country, one village was finally established. Brush. Kingsley instantly appeared in front of the cave base of the three little ones. Who? The three little ones screamed loudly when they heard the sound. They were still in shock after escaping death, and their emotions were extremely volatile and sensitive. Black Zetsu, who was hiding in the dark, was overwhelmed when he saw CG suddenly appear. Why was this ninja from the Hyuga clan still lingering around? He was not present at the battle between CG and Orochimaru and the others just now. After seeing Nagato being saved by CG and leaving safely, for the safety of his Rinnegan, he also secretly followed Nagato back to the cave base and hid in the dark and watched. Therefore, without feeling the chakra with the aura of Otsutsuki emitted by CG during the battle, Black Zetsu still did not realize the seriousness of the matter. However, this time, he saw Kingsley's pure eyes which had not yet closed. Although the information about the pure eye is not very secret in the Otsutsuki clan, Otsutsuki Kagaya also has a certain understanding of it. But after all, Black Zetsu was just hastily created by her using yin-yang release on the eve of being sealed by the Six Paths Chibaku Tensei. He has no combat power, and not a lot of knowledge was passed on to him. Therefore, Black Zetsu was unable to recognize the pure eye, but he became curious about CG. He has lived for 1,000 years, but he has never heard that the Kagaya clan can give birth to the eye technique. Therefore, Black Zetsu decided to conduct a follow-up investigation on Kingji. It's me. Ching Si said calmly after hearing the exclamation, "How are you guys?" It's Big Brother's voice. The perceptive Konan was the first to recognize Kyoji's voice and said happily. Then he put down the weapon in his hand and walked out with Yahiko and Nagato. A smile appeared on Yahiko's face. "I'm so glad you're okay, Big Brother." Although he heard all the roars of the subsequent battles, he had not yet undergone systematic ninja training. In his heart, he believed that the Konoha ninjas were numerous and powerful, and CG should not be their opponent. However, CG, who was able to leave safely after saving the three of them, must be a powerful ninja. Kingsley understood Yahiko's subtext and smiled, but did not explain it. He did not care much about it. Nagato remained silent, quietly acting as a small transparent person. He kept his head down, and his long red hair blocked his eyes. At this moment, Nagato was still immersed in his own inner world. He was a little afraid of his eyes. If it weren't for him, they wouldn't have suffered this disaster today. To him now, these eyes contained bad luck and ominousness. Kyoji turned his head and looked at Nagato, who was standing silently. His red hair, extraordinary vitality and huge chakra in his body as observed by the pure eye all revealed his identity as a member of the Uzumaki clan. Nagato has chakra in his body, but he probably doesn't know how to use it, and he hasn't learned ninjutsu. Looking through the long hair hanging in front of Nagato's forehead, and looking directly at his purple samsara eye with a hint of mystery, Nagato's inner world seemed to be presented most directly in Kingji's pure eyes, and Kingji could clearly see everything in it through his pure eyes. Rubbing Nagato's head vigorously, Kyoji was trying to ease Nagato's tense nerves and stubborn mood in his own way. At this moment, Xionan walked in front of Kingsley with light steps. The little girl's emotions came and went quickly. After seeing Kingsley, who saved the three people, return safely, she soon forgot all the thrills of the night. At this time, her face was filled with a bright smile, like a blooming flower. "Big Brother, your eyes are so beautiful." Ha ha ha. Kingsley couldn't help but be infected by Konan's optimism. The depressed mood that was originally caused by Orochimaru's escape was swept away by Konan's innocent and pure smile. Although I know she was just trying to liven up the atmosphere, it is truly commendable for a war orphan to maintain such innocence. What a cute little angel! Kingsley thought to himself. Eat something first, then take a rest. Kingsley said at this time, then took out some food from the Takamagahara space and handed it to the three little ones. We'll talk about other things tomorrow. Kingsley saw that Yahiko seemed to be hesitant to speak, so he continued. When Black Zetsu saw CG using Takamagahara in the dark, his heart could not help but fluctuate violently. This was beyond his understanding. The people of the Kagaya clan awakened the corpse vein, and they even had a kind of eyes that he didn't know about. Not only that, these sky blue eyes also had the same pupil technique as the Mangeki Sharingan, and they also had the ability of time and space. Black Zetsu was shocked for just a moment, causing him to lose control of himself, and his hidden aura showed a slight fluctuation. It's bad. Black Zetsu, who was well versed in the ways of the old yin coin, knew that he was exposed. For Kingsley, the owner of the unknown pupil technique, he didn't dare to bet whether Kingsley could discover him, so he decisively dived deep underground and left quickly. As for Nagato, with Kingsley here for the time being, there shouldn't be any big problems. When he returns, he will send a few white Zetsu to replace him to monitor Nagato. As for the Rinnegan, he was even less worried, because it had a hidden backup plan from Uchiha Madara, the Shura of the ninja world. If someone really tried to take the eye and use it on him, Uchiha Madara would teach him a lesson. In this era when the Six Paths level has not yet appeared, according to Black Zetsu's opinion, Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama are the strongest. Chapter 105. Of course, Kingsley could sense the leaked aura of Black Zetsu. Whether it was the fragments he saw in his previous life or the memories left by his Haki, he had long known about the existence of Black Zetsu, but he did not expect to meet him here. The pure eye swept over the direction where Black Zetsu fled, and Kingsley understood, it seems that they are monitoring the Samsara eye. But, they are running really fast. Since Black Zetsu ran away, CG was too lazy to care, because it was not a big deal. Black Zetsu's plan to split the moon to save his mother did not conflict much with CG. After all, he was still thinking about feeding his little ten-tails and planting trees in the ninja world. The only ones who could serve as food for the little ten-tails were either Kagaya Otsutsuki or the nine-tailed beasts that were formed by splitting her 10 tails. So, let it run away. Black Zetsu, who was moving quickly underground, once again missed the opportunity to directly learn about Seiji's Otsutsuki identity. He could only wait until he went to the Hidden Mist village to investigate before he could make any discoveries. However, CG also knew that Black Zetsu was very likely to go to the Hidden Mist village to investigate his situation. But now he is fearless, so you can go and check boldly. The surname Otsutsuki is guaranteed to keep Black Zetsu silent once you investigate. Silent all night. The next morning, Kingsley woke up early. The weather in the rain country is sunny today, which is rare. The weather in the rain country is even more extreme than that in the water country. In the 365 days of a year, almost most of the time is covered by rain, as if this country has an inextricable relationship with rain. This is also the origin of the country's name Rain. Usually the sky is always gloomy, making people feel depressed and dull. Good weather like today is rare. The sun is shining and the sky is clear, bringing a rare sense of freshness and comfort to the people of the rain country. Kingsley looked up and saw the bright sunshine shining on the devastated town. Even under the constant washing of heavy rain, the traces of the fierce battle last night were still clearly visible. The sun hangs high in the sky, emitting gentle light. The long-lost sunshine makes people feel comfortable and at ease. However, when the eyes fall on those traces full of sadness and despair, the mood will become heavy again. There is still a lot of water on the streets, reflecting the dilapidated scene around them. The town, which was once barely livable, has now become a ruin in many places, with collapsed houses, scorched land, and broken rubble everywhere. The civilians who fled last night have returned to their ruined homes one after another. Occasionally, faint cries can be heard, like mourning for deceased relatives or confusion about the future. Kingsley stood still for a long time before he came to his senses and looked at the devastation. Although the battle was instigated by Orochimaru and other Konoha ninjas, he did contribute to the destruction of the town. Instantly appearing in the town, Kingsley strolled among the ruins, his heart filled with mixed emotions. He saw the pain and helplessness in the eyes of those who had lost hope, and couldn't help but feel heartbroken. Although the ninja world has been like this for years, the kindness and education he received in his previous life made him unable to ignore these civilians at the bottom. The pain brought by war cannot be easily erased. It destroyed all beautiful things and brought endless suffering to people. Kingxi decided to do something. Earth escape technique, Lianzu family technique. Yamato's wood release technique of building a house, earth release should also be able to achieve the same effect. Kingxi touched the ground with both hands, and chakra rushed into the ground frantically. Under the horrified eyes of the crying civilians in the town, the broken ruins of the houses kept sinking into the ground, and new earth houses kept rising. Seeing smiles gradually appearing on the faces of the civilians, Kingxi's inner belief became stronger. Improving bloodline, planting trees, and obtaining chakra fruits to bring peace to the ninja world, this is Kingxi's future path. When they returned to the cave base of the three little ones, they had already woken up. When they saw Kingxi coming back, Xionan rushed over directly with tears in the corners of her eyes. Wow! Big brother, I thought you didn't care about us anymore. Xionan hugged Kingxi tightly, crying in Kingxi's arms with tears in her eyes. My goodness, Kingxi has never experienced such a scene in his past or present life. He was alone without any relatives in his previous life, and things were not much better in this life before he met Master Yuan. Kingxi had no experience in dealing with children, so he could only bend down and hug Xionan, who jumped into his arms, gently patting her back and stroking her lavender hair. It took a long time for Xionan to calm down and break free from Kingxi's arms. Her actions during the emotional outburst made her face flush with shame. Kingxi also smiled awkwardly and looked at Yahiko and Nagato. Are you hungry? I'll make something to eat and we can talk while we eat. He took out the clay pot and ingredients from the Takamagahara space, and made a stove with the earth escape technique, and started a fire with the fire escape technique. Soon, a large pot of steaming meat porridge was ready. The white rice porridge with meat flakes floating on it was fragrant, which made the three little ones' eyes light up. They swallowed their saliva in big mouthfuls. They hadn't eaten hot food for a long time. Ching Si took out 4 bowls again, filled each of the 3 little ones with a bowl, and said, Haha, come and eat. The 3 little ones looked at the fragrant meat porridge and tears flowed unconsciously. Big brother, you are so good to us. Yahiko said in a crying voice. After becoming a war orphan, he was forced to struggle and find ways to survive. Although Kyoji was not the first person to show kindness to them, he was the only one who helped them. Kingxi smiled, shook his head and said nothing. The kindness in his heart, the experiences of his past life, and the encounters in this life made it impossible for him to stand idly by and watch the fate of the 3 war orphans. Although the factor of the Rinnegan was involved in his action this time, Kingxi would still take action even if there were only Yahiko and Konan. Although he is not a saint or a pushover, since he has encountered this situation, he cannot remain indifferent. This may be the guidance of fate. The 3 little ones devoured the porridge in a hurry, and ate it up completely without any hesitation. The shy Nagato also opened up his heart at this time. While eating, he greeted Kingxi vaguely, Big brother, you eat too. Kingxi smiled at him, nodded, and started eating as well. Chapter 106. Xionan was a girl after all, so she ate elegantly, but her eyes kept moving around, looking at the other people with interest. Her long lavender hair fluttered gently in the breeze, like the wings of a dancing butterfly. From time to time, she stretched out her slender fingers and gently tucked the drooping hair behind her ears. Her movements were gentle and natural, and each movement was filled with a touch of elegance and agility. Soon, Yahiko, who finished eating first, patted his bulging belly, wiped his mouth, and kept savoring the wonderful taste that he had not tasted for a long time. Then his expression became slightly serious. Nagato and Konan saw Yahiko's expression and knew what he was going to do. They also stopped what they were doing and looked at CG together. Big brother. Yahiko hesitated, strengthened his confidence, and then asked hesitantly, you must be a powerful ninja. Well, I guess so. Kingxi was a little modest. Then, can you teach us ninjutsu? Yahiko hesitated and expressed the request on behalf of the 3 little ones, simply teach us a few common ninjutsu. Yahiko also knew that their request might be a bit excessive. In his understanding, the ninjutsu of the big ninja village cannot be passed on to outsiders at will, so he added nervously. Kingxi stared at the 3 little ones in front of him, opened his pure eyes quietly, and observed them carefully. Needless to say, Nagato, who could bear Uchiha Madara's samsara eye, and was a descendant of the Uzumaki clan, who could barely be considered a distant relative of his family, must have a good talent. As for Yahiko, he had already produced a trace of chakra in his body at this time, and Yahiko's optimism and carefree personality made Kingxi quite like him. As for Konan, she also had a trace of chakra in her body, but even if this angel-like pure girl had no talent, Kingxi was willing to keep her by his side. Seeing that Kingxi didn't respond for a long time, the three little ones' expressions became gloomy, but they had actually already prepared themselves to be rejected. At this time, Xionan took action and broke the silence. Following her instinct, a piece of white paper gradually appeared in her fair hands. Then, with her hard control, she folded it into a white paper flower. This operation exhausted the thin chakra in her body. Her face turned pale, but she still insisted on smiling and handed the paper flower to Kingxi. "Big brother. Here you go. Thank you for saving us." Kingxi was stunned. With his pure eyes still open, he clearly saw the process of the paper flowers appearing and the flow of chakra in Konan's body. Is this bloodline limit? Paper escape? He didn't expect that Konan was actually the owner of a rare bloodline limit. Kingxi reached out to take the paper flower handed to him by Xionan, revealing a gentle smile, then shook his head and gently put the paper flower back into Xionan's lavender hair. The paper flower brushed against her hair, contrasting with her long lavender hair, as fresh and pleasant as flowers blooming in spring. Kingxi looked at Xionan. Her lavender hair matched with a paper flower, and her slightly pale face and innocent smile made her look like a pure and flawless angel. The whole picture was as beautiful as a frozen frame, forming an intoxicating and beautiful picture. After another moment of silence, Ching Si said, "Then let's become my disciples." He decided to accept the three little ones as his disciples. Seeing that Ciji had been silent, Yahiko had already lost hope in learning ninjutsu. Suddenly he heard Ciji speaking, and subconsciously thought that Ciji had rejected them, so he said bitterly, "I'm sorry, big brother. We were the ones who offended." Before he could finish the word offend, Yahiko suddenly realized that Ciji had not rejected their request and wanted to be their teacher. "Hey!" Yahiko said in surprise, then immediately changed his tone and bowed respectfully, "Hello, teacher." "Okay." Xionan also laughed. "Teacher." Nagato also spoke, his tone full of respect. He was very grateful for Kingxi's timely rescue yesterday, but due to his personality, he did not show it very obviously. "Very good." Kingxi was also very satisfied with the three little ones. The most important way of inheritance in the ninja village was the inheritance between master and apprentice, and it was rare to accept several disciples with excellent talents and character at the same time. "Come and introduce yourselves. Your name is Otsutsuki Ciji, a jonin from the Hidden Mist village. I'm good at many things, and you will slowly realize them in the future. I like a lot of things, but I also hate a lot of things. Since you have become my disciples, I only have one request for you, and that is don't betray me. It's your turn next, so introduce yourselves, what you like and hate, and your dreams." Ciji said calmly. "Then teacher, do we have to go to the Hidden Mist village with you?" Curious baby Yahiko asked first. "Why, you still want to stay in this country?" Ching Si asked doubtfully. "The three little ones should have no ties here." No, Mr. Ciji, I'm just asking. Yahiko smiled awkwardly. He didn't want to continue struggling and wandering in the Rain Country. Although he still dreamed of changing the Rain Country and the entire ninja world, now that he had found a backer, he had to hold on tightly to Seiji's strong thigh, and he could talk about other things after he had gained strength. "My name is Yahiko, and I like to fish quietly by the river." Yahiko began his introduction, but after the war broke out, I no longer have the opportunity. Yahiko's tone suddenly became low. "What I hate is war. My dream is to have strong power to change this country, change the entire ninja world, end the war and bring peace." When talking about his dream, Yahiko recovered and his tone was a little excited. "We don't know why Jiraiya didn't bring the three little ones back to Konoha, but I guess there are probably several reasons. First, his status is not high enough. Although he is a disciple of the Hokage, there are still a few old people in Konoha. Take Shimura Denzo for example. If he brings Nagato back, his samsara eye will be dug out. Second, the environment of the great ninja village is not particularly friendly to war orphans. Jiraiya himself is not a person who can stay there. Once he is gone, the three little ones will probably have a miserable life without anyone to take care of them. Third, Nagato himself has a blood feud with Konoha. Yahiko and Konan were also orphans because of the war between Konoha and Tsunagakure and Omegakure. It is unlikely that they will follow him to Konoha. But for Kingsley, this is not a problem. He has an elder grandfather, he is rich enough, and he holds the double swords, Aoi, and is recognized as the first choice for the 4th Mizukage. Moreover, Kirigakure has no conflict with Omegakure, and Kirigakure has not yet participated in the battle. This explanation should be plausible. Chapter 107. Well, not a bad dream. Kiyoshi gave a fair evaluation. Although Yahiko is still a child, his heart for peace is still worthy of recognition, and he also realizes that the prerequisite for realizing the dream is to have sufficient strength. Hehe. Yahiko, who received praise from Kiyoshi, couldn't help but rub the back of his head and grinned. My name is Zionin. I like origami and illustration, and I hate war. My dream is to live with everyone forever. Zionin then introduced herself, with a smile on her pale but cute face. Finally, Nagato, after hearing what Yahiko and Konan had said, also spoke up, my name is Nagato. What I like is looking up at the stars at night. I also hate war. My dream is to help Yahiko fulfill his dream. Then Nagato paused for a few seconds, hesitated for a moment, and whispered to Seiji, finally, thank you, Mr. Seiji, for helping us. According to the official introduction, Nagato likes to look up at the stars. I don't know what this hobby is. At this time, the little one, who had been silent all this time, started jumping around and barking a few times, as if introducing himself. Ha ha ha. Looking at the active puppy jumping up and down, several people laughed at the same time, and the atmosphere instantly became lively. At the same time, Kingsley and the 3 little ones were getting along harmoniously. Hidden Mist Village, Miki Tavern. This is the property of a chunin named Miki Shijito, but his real identity is a spy from the root of Konoha. 10 years ago, he was assigned by Danzo, the assistant ninja of Konoha Village's Hokage, to replace the original Miki Shijito and lurked in the Hidden Mist Village to gather all kinds of intelligence about the Hidden Mist for Konoha. And today was the day he had an appointment to meet with his superior who was dressed as a merchant coming to the Hidden Mist Village to trade. In fact, Miki Shijito has not passed on any useful information for a long time. In recent years, Kirigakure has basically been recuperating and everything is normal. There is no information that requires his special attention, until a few days ago, when he accidentally overheard the chat of several drunken senior ninjas in his own tavern. Although those senior ninjas quickly realized the inappropriateness and ended the topic in time, he still heard some key information, such as the battlefield, the rain country, the whirlpool country, the Uzumaki clan, etc. As a spy with good professional qualities, although he did not understand what all this meant, he still promptly sent a request for early contact to his superior. However, his identity had actually been exposed a long time ago. The Kirigakure Enbu had been eyeing him half a month ago. Although no one knew which village he was sent from, his identity as a spy had long been confirmed through a detailed investigation of him. It's just that he hadn't been in contact recently, and the Enbu also wanted to see if they could catch a few more fish through him. In the Miki Tavern, Miki Shigetsudo has already met his superior, who is disguised as a businessman codenamed Eagle, in the backyard. Eagle was sent to the water country by Danzo Shimura after the outbreak of the Ninja World War. He was specifically responsible for collecting intelligence from the water country and receiving messages from Konoha's spies in the Hidden Mist Village. Lord Eagle, I have heard some information. I feel it is very important, so I sent a meeting request to you in advance. Miki Shijito came up and explained his behavior. Normally, if it was not urgent information, the agreement between him and Eagle was to pass on information every 2 months. Tell me about it. Eagle looked calm. He had been in the water country for such a long time and had never made any mistakes. Moreover, he was very confident in his disguise, so he was not worried about being exposed at all. It's like this. A few days ago, a few senior ninjas here mentioned the Rain Country, the Whirlpool Country and the Uzumaki clan when they were drunk and chatting. I boldly guessed that the Hidden Mist Village might also want to get involved in the chaos in the Rain Country, and might have some ideas about our Konoha's allies. Miki Shijito informed Eagle of the information. Eagle was silent for a moment, then responded, "Your information is a little late. The village has already received information that the Kirigakure ninja has appeared in the Land of Rain. But your second guess is very likely. The Kirigakure lacks sealing techniques, so they may take the opportunity to attack the land of whirlpools. You did a great job, and I will ask for credit for you from Lord Danzo. Thank you, sir. Miki Shigetsu bowed respectfully to the eagle. At this time, outside the Miki Tavern, the 4th squad of the 1st Division of the Anbu had already assembled. The Anbu codenamed Yu, who was in charge of sensing, put down his hands that were sealed and said to the other Anbu, "It has been confirmed that the spy Miki Shivudo is meeting with another person inside. The auras of the two have been staying in the same place for more than 3 minutes." Hearing this, the captain of the Anbu team knew that they had caught a big fish, so he immediately ordered, "Go. Try to catch it alive." After finishing the meeting, Eagle was about to leave with satisfaction, when suddenly, the gate of the backyard broke directly and 4 Kirigakure Enbu rushed in. Eagle was shocked, and he immediately realized that it was Miki Shigetsu who was exposed and implicated him. The Enbu rushed straight towards Eagle, wanting to capture him alive. Eagle showed a fierce look on his face, and was about to take out the detonating tag he carried with him, and die together with the Kirigakure Enbu. At this time, Miki Shigetsu, who was following him to send him away, was subdued by the Enbu at the first sight, and his limbs were broken in an instant, and he collapsed to the ground in despair. Yami saw the action of Eagle and immediately realized that he was going to kill himself, so he quickly rushed forward and punched Eagle's arm, not giving him a chance to take out the detonating talisman. After the other 3 subdued Miki Shigetsudo, Yu stayed behind to guard Miki Shigetsudo, and the other 2 also surrounded Eagle, intending to capture him alive. Ju had no choice but to use his arms to block the heavy punch, but An did not stop his feet while punching. The moment his fist was blocked, he grabbed Ju's arm and pulled it towards himself. His left foot flew up and kicked Ju sideways, kicking him directly towards his subordinates who came to support him. Eagle spat out a mouthful of blood in the air, quickly adjusted his posture, and using the force of the kick, kicked left and right, kicking at the 2 Anbu at the same time. Water release, water, water whip. The Anbu codenamed Soul quickly formed a seal to condense a water whip, which was wrapped around the eagle's kicking leg. Then he pulled it hard and threw the eagle to the ground. The eagle was thrown into pieces and almost died. He endured the pain and stood up quickly, then fought with the 3 men. Boom! The eagle was hit by a heavy kick from Hun, which was originally aimed at the abdomen, but the eagle forcibly turned its body at the moment of being kicked, and caught the kick at the cost of breaking its left arm, and used the force to retreat backwards. Not good! He cried inwardly. He had already seen the eagle's movements in the air, but it was too late to stop it, so he had to order Miki Shigetsu to evacuate immediately. Eagle flew backwards in the air, and took out a detonating tag from his bosom with his intact right hand. Without any hesitation, he directly input chakra and detonated it, for Danzo-sama. Boom! A violent explosion resounded throughout the backyard of the Miki Tavern. The 4 dark men rushed out of the backyard covered in dust and dirt, carrying Miki Shigetsu, whose limbs were broken. Chapter 108. With the idea of dying together, Eagle detonated all the detonating tags he had on him. The entire Sanmu Tavern was devastated by the explosion. The ruins were crumbling, and the air was filled with smoke and dust, making it suffocating. The ground was covered with broken bricks and tiles, and the originally tidy courtyard was now unrecognizable. The shock wave of the explosion uprooted the trees planted in the backyard, and the broken branches and fallen leaves were scattered all over the ground. The air was filled with thick smoke and dust, making people feel stinging in the throat and unable to breathe. Cough, cough, cough. The few people who rushed outside kept coughing dryly. They had captured spies sent by other villages before, but they had never encountered such fierce resistance. They actually detonated all the detonating tags directly and wanted to die with them. Although the fish was hooked, he didn't catch it, and instead he made a fool of himself. As the team leader, he felt very unhappy, but fortunately he still had Miki Shigetsu to report to. Not daring to waste any more time, An and his subordinates quickly returned to the Anbu headquarters. It didn't take long for the result of the interrogation to come out. Although there was a seal of eradicating tongue troubles set by Shimura Danzo on Miki Shigetsu's tongue, the Kirigakure Enbu still forcibly obtained the result they wanted without caring about Miki Shigetsu's life or death. Lord Jing is out on a mission. I will report to Lord Jian. Everyone else, disperse. After receiving the result, An's expression became serious. The news that Kirigakure was plotting against the Whirlpool country almost leaked out, and the good news had not yet been passed on. In the Rain country, ever since that day when Qing Si accepted the 3 little ones as his disciples, he began to travel around the Rain country with the 3 little ones and little one. The weather has been rare good these days. The rainy land hasn't seen such continuous sunny days for a long time. Time passed quickly, and more than 10 days went by in a flash, and soon it was February of the 36th year of Kirigakure. It was also time for Kyoji to lead the 7 ninja swordsmen to the Bear Country. That night, the moonlight was dim, the sky was grey, there were no twinkling stars, only a layer of light mist enveloped the whole world, giving people a mysterious and peaceful atmosphere. The breeze blew gently, bringing a hint of coolness, blowing on the earth and people's faces, bringing a touch of freshness and comfort. The 3 children followed their teacher closely, their steps light and agile, as if blending into the night. Their footsteps stepped on the weeds, making a slight rustling sound, which was particularly clear in the silent night. The weeds rose and fell in the moonlight like the tide, as if they were the breath of nature, swaying with the rhythm of the wind, giving people a sense of vitality. The chirping of insects sounded in the empty night sky, clear and melodious, as if it were a symphony played by nature. We're going to leave now. Let's take a good look at this country. It may take a long time for you to come back. Kingsley said to the 3 little ones who followed him. He wanted to send the 3 little ones and little one back to Kirigakure first, and then go to the Bear Country with the other 6. After a long while, Yahiko spoke on behalf of the other 2, let's go, Teacher Seiji. In fact, there was nothing to be nostalgic about. Although the child was a precocious child in the ninja world, how could he have such a clear concept of the country when he was in a war-torn area like the Rain Country? Not to mention, Nagato and Konan's parents originally fled to the Rain Country, and only Yahiko could be considered a native of the Rain Country. However, Hanzo did disappoint the people of the Rain Country. It took Hanzo less than 2 years to go from a hero of the Rain Country to a bear of the Rain Country. He confidently started a war, and then the Rain Country was ravaged by the other 2 major ninja villages. This extreme gap caused Hanzo's reputation to plummet sharply, and even the native residents of the Rain Country lost confidence in Hanzo. Let's go. Ching Si nodded, and then his pure eye opened, and his pupil power began to gather towards his right eye. There is a mark of Kingsley's pupil power left by him at home, but it is not easy to teleport the 3 little ones and the little one directly from the distant Rain Country back to the hidden mist village, and the pupil power consumed is not a small number. If Kingsley's pupil power is not still slowly increasing, with the meager pupil power when he just opened his eyes, he would have a hard time teleporting himself back. Kingsley held Konan's fair little hand, Konan held Yahiko's hand, and Yahiko held Nagato who was holding the little one in his arms. The eye technique was ready. Takamagahara. Kingsley's right eye instantly became bright, like a meteor in the night sky, shining brightly. As the pupil technique was activated, the figures of several people gradually began to blur, and after about 10 seconds, they completely disappeared. Kirigakure village, Seiji's house, backyard training ground. The figures of Kingsley and others slowly emerged, and the 3 little ones collapsed to the ground in an instant. Even Kingsley was dizzy for a long time when he used Takamagahara for the first time, not to mention the 3 little ones who were now at most genin. They fainted directly when they experienced space teleportation for the first time. The little one in Nagato's arms was no exception, lying motionless in Nagato's arms with his tongue sticking out. The guard butler Chuan Bingui, who sensed someone appearing in the backyard, rushed over quickly. When he saw it was Kingsley, he was very surprised. He remembered that Elder Yuanshi had clearly said that Master Kingsley had gone to the Rain Country to carry out a mission, but he knew that this should involve Kingsley's secrets, so he did not ask. Uncle Ganbei, good evening. Kingsley took the initiative to greet Ganbei. Master Kingsley, good evening. Chuan Bingui also responded, and then asked, they are. Oh, these are the 3 disciples I accepted. Ching Si replied without explaining too much. He planned to wait until his grandfather Yuanshi woke up tomorrow morning before telling him in detail. Let's arrange for them to stay in my room first. From now on, they will be members of the Hidden Mist Village. Chapter 109. The next day, when the first ray of sunlight shone into the Hidden Mist Village, Kingsley had already arrived at the Anbu headquarters. In the barrier class, Kingsley was looking through the abnormal conditions of the barrier that they had recorded. Although the perception barrier of the Hidden Mist Village is far inferior to the one set up by Uzumaki Mito himself in Konoha village, when Seiji returned to the village last night, the abnormal spatial fluctuations caused by Takamagahara were still sensed and recorded by the barrier team. Let's unwatch this record. I will explain the relevant matters to Captain Ken and Lord Mizukage. Kiyoshi pointed to the abnormal record of last night and said to Fujiwara Heiji, the class leader of the barrier class. Yes, sir. Fujiwara no Heiji followed suit. He had a deep understanding of the status of the current captain of the Shadow Guard who came from the Anbu, so he had no intention of objecting at all. After dealing with the barrier record, Kingsley went to the minister's office to find the sword. Since he was back, he would first learn about the situation in the Bear Country and the Whirlpool Country before going back. Hey? Why are you back? Jian asked in surprise in the minister's office. Something happened, so I came back for a while. Kingsley replied vaguely without any detailed explanation. Kingsley did not intend to expose his ability of time and space now. Jian didn't care too much about Kingsley's behavior. After all, Kingsley was no longer under his control and was even on the same level as him. After thinking for a moment, he said, "But it's good that you came back this time. I just happen to have some information to tell you." As he spoke, Jian took out the interrogation record of Miki Kazuto and handed it to Kingsley. Kingsley quickly glanced through it. A spy from Konoha? The Hokage assisting Shimura Denzo. The relevant information about the Nabe cage quickly emerged in Kingsley's mind. This was a werewolf, a little more cruel, and not a good guy either. When you find that someone in this world has done something bad, but you can't find who the murderer is, then yes, the murderer must be me. From Shimura, Konoha's Pot King, the 5.5th Hokage, the first Pot Cage, the founder of Kunao stabbing Susanoo, Denzo. This long list of titles of Shimura Denzo perfectly summarizes his life. Kingji has seen these many times in his previous life and remembers this sentence clearly. What do you think? Jian asked when he saw Kingsley had finished reading the information. I think we can cooperate with this Shimura Denzo. Kingsley gave his opinion. He remembered the information about the Whirlpool Country sent to him by the Underground Gold Exchange last night, and one of the information caught his attention. Intelligence personnel from the Underground Gold Exchange discovered signs of activity by the Konoha route, which is under the command of Denzo Shimura, in the land of whirlpools. In addition, Konoha had purchased a large amount of intelligence about the land of whirlpools and the Uzumaki clan from the Underground Gold Exchange some time ago. Kiyoshi, who knew Denzo well, immediately connected the two things together. He was very sure that Denzo Shimura's actions were carried out without the knowledge of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, and he must have had some ideas about the Uzumaki clan and their sealing techniques. Kingsley's answer left Jian confused, but he did not refute it immediately. All the suggestions Kingsley made over the years were finally verified correctly. In addition, he knew Kingsley's character well, so although Jian was confused, he did not object. Let's go and see Lord Mizukage together. Kingsley smiled and invited Jian. In the Mizukage's office, the third Mizukage Bing stood with his hands behind his back in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window, his back facing Kingsley and Jian. You mean? Cooperating with the sinister ninja of Konoha. As expected, the third Mizukage Bing also had some doubts after hearing what Kingsley said, but he did not refute it either. He was ready to listen to Kingsley's explanation. Tell me in detail. Denzo Shimura is the current assistant Hokage of Konoha village, a disciple of the second Hokage Tobirama Senju and a teammate of the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen. He once participated in the fight for the position of the third Hokage, but failed. After the third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen took office, he was assigned to set up a separate Anbu training department called Root within the Anbu, which was responsible for eradicating all kinds of people or things that pose a threat to Konoha. CG first told Denzo Shimura's basic information. Go on. Bing nodded. He also knew this information. As one of Konoha's high-ranking officials, Shimura Denzo's basic information was archived in all major ninja villages. According to the information we now know about Denzo Shimura, he is a tough man, ambitious, and extremely suspicious, cautious, and insidious. CG continued, and he began to analyze Denzo's character based on the intelligence. Bing and Jian nodded, acknowledging Kingsley's analysis. When I was in the Land of Rain, I got the information by chance. Kingsley made up a random excuse for his information. After so many years, he believed that Bing would not delve into it. Shimura Denzo has the same ideas about the Land of Whirlpools as we do. Now his roots should have several teams operating in the Land of Whirlpools. Bing did not interrupt Kingsley's words. He really did not dwell on where Kingsley's information came from. After years of getting along with each other, he had long since accepted that everything Kingsley did was in the interests of Kirigakure. As the commander-in-chief of Konoha's Rain Country battlefield, there is no reason for him to send his route to the Whirlpool Country, and a group of several teams, unless he has some ideas about the Whirlpool Country. However, we can't be sure whether he is after the people of the Uzumaki clan or the sealing techniques of the Uzumaki clan. Of course, judging from his personality, he is very likely to have the same idea as us. He wants both people and techniques. Kingsley continued to analyze, and with his strong ambition and desire for control, he must have done this without telling the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. Very accurate, what you said makes sense. Bing thought for a while, put himself into the role of Shimura Danzo, simulated it, and found that things were very likely consistent with Kingsley's analysis. So, since our goals are the same, we might as well test Danzo Shimura and seek opportunities for cooperation. If we have the help of such an insider, then the reinforcements from Konoha will not be a concern at all. Kyoshi concluded. Okay. Bing agreed with Kingsley's opinion. Sword, immediately send a message to Ying, and ask him to go to the Konoha camp as he just said and contact this Yami ninja. After receiving the order, Jian quickly left to make the announcement. At this moment, Bing suddenly remembered something. Oh, by the way, Xiao Kingxi, why did you suddenly come back? Hearing Bing's question, Kingxi hesitated slightly, but decided to tell the truth. After years of contact, he could feel that Bing was really good to him. Lord Mizukage, I have awakened a kind of eye technique that gives me the ability to control time and space. Kingxi said as he opened his pure eyes. Bing's heart moved slightly. According to his perception, Kingxi, who had opened his pure eyes, had an aura that was no less powerful than his. Moreover, under the gaze of Kingxi's pure eyes, he instantly felt like he was seen through. Sky blue eyes. Bing sighed, and then did not ask any more questions. He was not the kind of person who would delve into everything and would not stand for his subordinates to do well. It seems that I can retire as soon as possible. If it is appropriate, after this ninja world war is over, you will be the new Mizukage. Although Bing was curious about the fact that Kagaya's bloodline could also produce eye techniques, he had come from the Warring States period and had experienced all kinds of strange things, so he didn't care too much. Chapter 110. Ching Si was stunned, then smiled awkwardly. Although his boss said so, he couldn't agree to it. Not answering was the best answer. Okay. You go first. Please give a good report to Elder Yuanshi for me. Bing also knew that it was a bit too early to discuss this topic now, so he changed the subject and let Kingxi leave. The cage worked very quickly. In the afternoon, he brought back the news that Danzo Shimura agreed to cooperate. He would be responsible for dealing with the ninjas from the Land of Whirlpools who went to Konoha for help, and for blocking Konoha from rescuing the Land of Whirlpools. However, after the Hidden Mist obtained the sealing techniques, they needed to give him a copy of all the sealing techniques they had obtained. Danzo also had a good plan here. He thought about it and realized that the two things he needed to do, or actually one thing, were completely effortless for him to do, and the rewards he could get were unimaginably generous, so, for Konoha, of course he agreed without hesitation. In order to ensure that no accidents would occur, Danzo immediately contacted his good friend Sarutobi Hiruzen, and on the pretext of training the younger generation, he transferred the command of the Rain Country battlefield to Sarutobi Hiruzen's 3 disciples, and he himself returned to Konoha. Of course Sarutobi Hiruzen was willing. His disciples' power and status had been enhanced, which would be of great help to him. Therefore, he did not worry too much about Danzo's motives and agreed. After getting this result, Kingxi immediately set off and returned to the Land of Rain, leading the 7 ninja swordsmen to the Land of Bears. The 3 little ones were left at home by him, and were temporarily handed over to their grandfather Yuanshi to teach. In the blink of an eye, it was February 36th of the 2th year of Kirigakure. Everything is ready and the war is about to begin. The air in the Rain Country seemed to be filled with a thick smell of gunpowder. On the Konoha side, after Orochimaru failed in his mission and was forced to use reverse summoning to escape back to Ryokai Cave, and then return to the camp seriously injured, they began to speculate about the next actions of the Hidden Rain Village. However, no matter how many teams they sent deep into the heart of the Rain Country to try to obtain intelligence, they did not obtain any useful results. After Orochimaru was accidentally discovered by Seiji and warned Hanzo of the Salamander, their actions were doomed to fail. How could Hanzo of the Salamander let Konoha succeed when they were already on guard? Therefore, Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade, the commanders, are extremely anxious. Orochimaru is better off, after all, he has been recovering from his injuries most of the time these days. Even with Tsunade, a top medical ninja, treating him every day, it took him nearly a month to fully recover from the injuries caused by Seiji's yin-yang release black rod. As for Jiraiya and Tsunade, they were forced to take over the position of commander after Danzo resigned. Although they adapted quickly, they were not like Danzo, who had a group of root ninjas under his command who were loyal to him and did not care about their own lives. They could command the Anbu sent by the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, but they could not command them either. After all, these Anbu were basically executing the orders given by Sarutobi Hiruzen. Therefore, they are now in such an extremely anxious situation. Facing the hidden rain village that may attack at any time, they have no useful information at all. Hey! Orochimaru! When do you think Kirigakure will come? That damn old guy Danzo left a mess behind and ran away. Tsunade's tone was full of resentment. The first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, was her great-grandfather, and the second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, was her second-grandfather. Therefore, Tsunade, who had seen through Danzo's character, had no respect for this insidious gay friend of her teacher. We have no other choice now. Orochimaru's hoarse voice came, when we can't get any information about Kirigakakure's movements, the best way is to defend and counterattack. At this point, Orochimaru couldn't help but feel deeply dissatisfied with Danzo. This old guy did this before the battle. I really don't know why Sarutobi teacher agreed to him. So can we only wait here? Hanzo may lead Yugakure to fight us at any time. Jiraiya continued. While the three were talking, suddenly, there was a loud noise of something heavy falling outside the camp. Psychic summons. Come out, Ibuki. A voice full of domineering power echoed throughout the Konoha camp. Enemy attack. A shrill cry rang out, it's Hanzo of the Salamander. However, it was Hanzo of the Salamander who relied on his own powerful strength and launched a surprise attack on the Konoha camp alone. Although the salamander poison was broken by Cho on the Sand Village battlefield and did not have the expected effect, Hanzo did not think that things would be so coincidental that Konoha would just happen to have a medical ninja who could break the salamander poison in time. I checked the information and found that during the Second Shinobi World War, Tsunade was not able to detoxify the salamander poison. Her antidote could only delay the poisoning effect, but could not completely detoxify it like Cho. Tsunade's reputation as the best medical ninja in the ninja world really became famous in the Sand Village battlefield in the late stage of the Second Shinobi World War. All the poisons developed by Cho were quickly detoxified by her one by one. The three people's faces changed and they quickly rushed out of the camp. At this time, the camp was shrouded in the poisonous fog of the salamander. The thick dark purple poisonous gas was raging everywhere in the camp. Wherever it passed, the weaker Konoha ninjas fell to the ground one after another, and although the stronger ones could temporarily resist the invasion of the poisonous fog with chakra, it was obvious that they could not hold on for too long. Looking at the Konoha ninjas being slaughtered by Hanzo's summoning beast, the salamander, the three of them were furious. Orochimaru! Jiraiya shouted loudly and began to form hand seals quickly. When Orochimaru heard Jiraiya's shout, years of tacit understanding made him instantly understand Jiraiya's thoughts, so he also began to make hand seals. Chapter 111. Wind escape. The air currents are dancing. Wind escape. Big breakthrough. Without any prior communication, Jiraiya and Orochimaru cooperated perfectly. Jiraiya's wild airflow first gathered the nearby poisonous fog together, and then with Orochimaru's breakthrough, the poisonous fog in the area around the two of them was directly blown away by the strong wind infused with a large amount of chakra by Orochimaru. Tsunade immediately created several shadow clones and began to treat the poisoned Konoha ninjas who could still be rescued. While Jiraiya and Orochimaru were busy leading the Konoha ninjas to use wind jutsu to disperse the poisonous fog, Hanzo outside the camp had already started fighting with the three ninjas who rushed out of the camp first. Ninja technique, super multiplication technique. One of the ninjas was a burly ninja, whose body quickly grew huge under the effect of ninjutsu. His huge body directly hugged the salamander Inu, who had rushed into the Konoha camp and was ready to kill. Then he grabbed the body of salamander Inu and threw him out of the camp. This ninja was none other than Akimichi Yoichi, a jonin from the Akimichi clan who represented the butterfly among the three clans of Ino, Shika, and Jo. The other two ninjas were none other than Nara Hiroshi, a jonin from the Nara clan who were also members of the same Ino, Shika, and Jo group as him, and Yamanaka Yu, a jonin from the Yamanaka clan. Seeing that the salamander Ibushi was thrown out by Akimichi Yang, Hanzo's face changed. it seems that we can't form a second wave of effective killing against the Konoha ninjas, so we can only kill these 3 powerful ninjas. There was a strong murderous intent in Hanzo's eyes. He wanted to attack the ninja from the Akimichi clan first. The salamander Ibushi flying in the air also received Hanzo's order. It turned into a cloud of white smoke, actively cancelled the response to the summoning technique, and returned to the hidden rain village. Water style, explosive water wave. Hanzo started with a large water jutsu, and a steady stream of water came out of Hanzo's mouth, continuously rushing towards the Konoha camp. Not good. Narahiroji's face darkened. The 3 of them were all from the Mystic Ninja clan. Although they could also learn ordinary escape techniques, the family's secret techniques had occupied most of their training time. Therefore, they seemed a little helpless against Hanzo's covering attack. As the intellectual leader of the trio, Narahiroji's smart brain is working rapidly at this moment, trying to find an effective solution. I got it. Narahiro quickly told Yamanaka-yu his idea. Success or failure depends on this. Ninjutsu, heart-shaking body technique. An invisible mental wave emanated from Yamanaka-yu and continued to spread towards the position of Hanzo, who was releasing ninjutsu. Although there was a huge gap in strength between Yamanaka-yu and Hanzo, Hanzo was still caught off guard and affected. As expected, just as Narahiroji had imagined, under the influence of the heart-round Shenjutsu, Hanzo's ninjutsu was interrupted, and without the support of Hanzo's chakra, the surging water wave was much less powerful. The giant Akimichi Yoichi stood in front of Narahiroji and Yamanaka-yu, perfectly blocking the impact. Ninja technique, super push hands. Seeing that the 2 companions who were protected behind him were safe and sound, Akimichi Yoichi immediately launched a counterattack against Hanzo. He aimed a powerful palm pressure technique at Hanzo's position and pressed hard. Water escape, water instant. Hanzo chose the right time and disappeared from his original position in an instant, avoiding the attack of Akimichi Yang. At the same time, with the help of the water he just created, he appeared next to Narahiroji and Yamanaka-yu, and then kicked Yamanaka-yu hard. Yamanaka-yu had no defense, or even if he had, he couldn't react in time, and was kicked more than 10 meters away by Hanzo. At the same time as Hanzo kicked, his right hand had already drawn the sickle behind him, and he quickly adjusted his posture, rushed forward, and slashed at Yamanaka-yu, who was flying backwards in the air and couldn't control his body. Swordsmanship, IAI slash. Just as Hanzo's sickle was about to cut across Yamanaka-yu's neck, his movement suddenly stopped, and the black shadow turned into a dark line on the ground, connecting Narahiroji and Hanzo. Narahiro gasped heavily, with a trace of fear still on his face, finally caught up. The shadow imitation technique was successful. Just a little bit short, and he would never see his teammates again. Yamanaka-yu was also filled with fear at this time. Hanzo's sharp sickle almost cut his neck and ended his life. Yamanaka-yu came to his senses and stared blankly at the sickle in front of him. His forehead was covered with cold sweat. He even felt the call from the Pure Land just now. Ninjutsu, shadow strangling technique. Seeing that Hanzo was successfully controlled by him, Narahiro continued to control the shadow on the ground and began to spread towards Hanzo's body. The dark shadow formed the shape of a hand on Hanzo's body, gradually approaching Hanzo's neck, wanting to twist it off. The secret technique of the Nara clan. Hanzo whispered, but it can't do anything to me. Then chakra began to burst out from his body and started to fight against the shadow that was controlling him. So strong. Narahiro felt that the extended shadow was shaking under the impact of Hanzo's chakra. Ha! Hanzo shouted, and the chakra burst instantly reached a higher level. The shadow that bound his body was directly blown into pieces. Narahiro, who was controlling the shadow, was hit hard, and under the backlash of the ninjutsu, he staggered back several steps. At this time, Akimichi Yoichi, who was staggered by Hanzo, also rushed over. Without the threat of the salamander, his body size returned to normal. After all, he had just tried it and found that his huge body was of no use against an extremely agile ninja like Hanzo. Ninja technique, human bomb chariot. Yoichi Akimika's body began to spin at high speed, forming a spherical chariot, and slammed into Hanzo, who had just broken free from the shadow. This wave came from Yoichi Akimika's meat, eggs, onions and chicken. Hanzo looked at the attacking human bomb chariot with a trace of disdain on his lips. He pulled out the chain with his left hand and swung it violently. Under Hanzo's exquisite control, the chain wrapped around the high-speed rotating human bomb chariot. Then Hanzo inserted the sickle into the ground with force and formed seals with his hands. He would accept the head that was delivered to his door. Water escape, water formation wall. The water on the ground that had not yet dissipated quickly rose in the path that the human bomb chariot must pass, and then under the continuous input of Hanzo's chakra, the volume quickly expanded, and Akimichi Yoichi, who crashed into the water curtain, began to slowly slow down his rotation due to the resistance of the water flow. At this time, the iron chain thrown out by Hanzo also arrived, and the iron chain tightly bound Akimichi Yoichi, who had left the human bomb chariot state, and then was pulled out of the water array wall towards him by Hanzo. Akimichi Yoichi struggled hard, but Hanzo was an expert in playing with chains. The more Akimichi Yoichi struggled, the tighter he was bound. Sword technique, chain scythe double attack. Hanzo stepped forward and slashed the tied up and unable to move Akimichi Yoichi with his sickle, putting Akimichi Yoichi in a desperate situation. Narahiro was currently suffering from the backlash of his ninjutsu being broken and had not yet recovered. Yamanaka-yu wanted to rescue him, but he had no effective means. Hanzo, who had a certain understanding of the Yamanaka clan's techniques and was already on guard, would not be affected again. Puff! Akito Yoichi was beheaded by Hanzo with one blow, his head and body separated, blood splashed like a fountain. His eyes were wide open, and the expression on his face was still at the moment before his death, full of shock and despair. His lips trembled slightly, as if he wanted to say something, but he could no longer make any sound. Blood dyed the ground red. Yang Yi! The heart-wrenching roar resounded throughout the world. Narahiroshi and Yamanaka-yu couldn't believe that their comrade in arms had left them just like that. But Hanzo didn't give them any time to mourn. He instantly moved forward and got close to Yamanaka-yu, ready to kill another one. Although he was powerful, he had to start with the weakest one for the remaining two. Ah! Narahiro, who lost his companion, went into a state of frenzy. All the chakra in his body was poured into this ninjutsu. The same went for Yamanaka-yu. Seeing Hanzo approaching, he knew he couldn't avoid him, so he faced Hanzo head-on. He wanted to sacrifice himself to give Narahiro a chance. Ninjutsu, Shadow Seam Technique. The shadows on the ground began to spread outwards irregularly, and the inky black shadows swept towards Hanzo with their fangs and claws. The sharp sickle cut through Yamanaka-yu's body, opening a huge gash in his abdomen. Instantly, blood was dripping. However, Yamanaka-yu relied on his strong willpower to endure the pain, took another step forward, and grabbed Hanzo tightly, while shouting to his companions, "Hong! Attack! Ninjutsu, Shadow Stab Technique!" Seeing Hanzo being dragged to the spot by Yamanaka-yu at the cost of his life, Narahiro, suppressing the grief of losing his second companion, launched a combo. The shadows instantly became sharp and pierced directly at Yamanaka-yu and Hanzo from all directions. Facing the overwhelming attack of shadow thorns, Hanzo, who was forced to stay in place by Yamanaka-yu, did not change his expression at all. But don't forget that Hanzo's sickle was coated with poison, and the poison had already spread to his whole body through the wound on Yamanaka-yu's abdomen. Before the shadow thorn could get close to Hanzo, Yamanaka-yu's hands, which were tightly restrained by Hanzo, began to slip away weakly. He could no longer suppress the influence of the poison on his body. Hanzo took advantage of the situation to flip Yamanaka-yu's body over and slapped him hard on the back. This slap not only cut off Yamanaka-yu's last chance of life, but also slapped his body towards Narahiro, who was controlling the shadow to attack. Then Hanzo instantly left the spot and got out of the shadow's attack range. Seeing the opportunity that Yamanaka-yu had fought for at the cost of his life just slip away, Narahiro almost collapsed. But the only trace of reason left drove him to control the flying shadow, carefully caught Yamanaka-yu's body, and then brought it back to his side. However, Narahiro, who was facing Yamanaka-yu's body head-on, did not notice that at the back of Yamanaka-yu, several talismans were fluttering in the wind. Hanzo appeared in the distance in an instant, and the corners of his mouth, which were hidden by the breathing mask, slightly curved. Hanzo put his right hand in front of his chest, formed a seal, and then left without looking back. A real man, he never looked back at the explosion. Fire release, exploding flame formation. Under Hanzo's control, the detonating tags on the back of the corpse quickly spread out and wrapped around the entire corpse, then all lit up and exploded with a loud bang. Narahiro, who was on the verge of collapse, was still immersed in a state of sadness and mania. By the time he discovered the detonating tag on the corpse, it was too late. He could no longer escape the range of the explosion. The detonating tag exploded, stirring up a large amount of thick smoke. When Jiraiya and Orochimaru led the remaining ninjas in the camp to finally disperse the poisonous fog and arrived, the smoke was slowly dissipating. Only Akimichi Yoichi's head and body were left on the spot. Nara Hiroshi and Yamanaka Yu had been reduced to ashes in the explosion. Damn it! Looking at the torn head and body of Akimichi Yoichi, and the relics on the ground that could barely be identified as belonging to Nara Hiroshi and Yamanaka Yu, and thinking of the Konoha ninjas who had just died in the camp because they could not resist the poisonous gas of the salamander, Jiraiya gritted his teeth, his eyes were bloodshot, veins on his forehead bulged, and he roared. His body was shaky, as if he had lost all his strength, and he knelt on the ground helplessly. His hands pounded hard on the ground that was still warm from the explosion, and each heavy blow was accompanied by a dull sound, as if he wanted to release all the anger and self-blame in his heart. Jiraiya's eyes widened, tears streaming down his cheeks, mixing with the blood and dripping onto the ground. At this moment, Jiraiya hated his own lack of strength, and was dissatisfied with Danzo Shimura who ran away before the battle. He was even full of doubts and confusion about his teacher, the third Hokage Sarutobi, who allowed Danzo to return to the village. Jiraiya knelt on the ground in a daze, motionless, his eyes flashing with anger, disappointment and self-blame. He clenched his fists, his nails digging deep into his palms, as if to release all the pain and unwillingness in his heart. Orochimaru beside him watched all this quietly without saying a word. His face became gloomy and solemn. Although he did not speak, it could be seen from his extremely ugly face that he was not indifferent to this. Afterwards, Tsunade, who had treated the surviving poisoned ninjas, also came here. Looking at the tragic battle scene, she did not speak for a long time. I got so excited while writing that I forgot to divide the chapters, and combined 2 chapters of 4,000 words together. I have something to do at home tonight and can't get to my computer. It's a bit difficult to edit the chapters on my phone, so I can only post it like this. Chapter 112. Hanzo's raid can be said to be extremely successful. Not only did he achieve the original goal, he also killed the Inoshika-Cho combination. Originally, Hanzo didn't think about taking over Konoha in one go. With the experience of the previous decisive battle with Sand Village, Hanzo finally decided to act alone and attack the Konoha camp alone. With the poison gas of the salamander, he would first reduce the number of Konoha's side and cause effective casualties to the Konoha ninjas, and then mobilize a large force to give Konoha a fatal blow. However, Hanzo's subsequent actions failed. When their camp was attacked and most of their manpower was lost, Orochimaru, Jiraiya and Tsunade immediately led the remaining troops to quickly retreat back to the border of the Land of Fire, and quickly sent a request for support to the village, preparing to regroup and fight Hanzo to the death. On February 36, 2th year of Kirigakure, Hanzo raided the Konoha camp at the same time. A 50-man elite force of Tsunagakure also launched a raid on the Land of Fire on time in accordance with the agreement with Hanzo. Lord Imu, a perceptive ninja in the team, sensed the Konoha patrol team 3 kilometers to the left and 5 kilometers to the right, and reported to the commander of the Sand Village force. Sure enough. Imu thought to himself. It seems that Hanzo's information is relatively accurate. He then pondered for a moment and said to the 2 female ninjas next to him, later, the 3 of us will charge directly. I will deal with the team on the left. Yekeng and Lu Yu will act together and be responsible for killing the team on the right. Make sure the news is not leaked to buy more time for our action. Understand? Learn. Yekeng and Lu Yu answered together after hearing the order. Action. After receiving the reply, Imu immediately gave an order, and the 3 of them quickly rushed to the direction of the Konoha patrol team pointed out by the sensing ninja. Soon, Imu came into contact with Konoha's patrol team. When the captain of the patrol team saw Imu, who had a murderous look on his face and was dressed in standard Sand Village ninja attire, his face changed drastically. He instantly realized that the Sand Village was going to attack Konoha, so he hurriedly took out a flare to notify other teams to pass the message back to the village. However, he underestimated Imu. As the son of Cho, the elder of the Sand Village, he was also a puppeteer with the strength of a cage. When he was seen by the patrol team, it also meant that the patrol team had also entered his attack range. Puppetry, human body manipulation. Imu's right hand moved slightly, and 4 chakra lines that were almost invisible to the naked eye quietly and silently connected to the bodies of the 4 ninjas in the patrol team. The 4 ninjas in the patrol team paused for a moment, and then stopped where they were at the same time. The patrol team, whose strongest member was only a special jonin, had no power to resist Imu, who was at the level of Kage. They were all controlled by Imu in the first encounter. On the other side, just as Imu dealt with 4 Konoha ninjas, Yakang and Jun also appeared in the sight of another Konoha patrol team. As the wife of Imu, Jun, although not as strong as Imu, is also a puppeteer with the strength of a Kage. Although Yakang, who works with her, is not yet at the Kage level, with her unique Shojutsu Kekii Genkai, she can fight even against a Kage level puppeteer. Scorching Escape, Scorching Flame. Yakang launched an attack directly. 4 high-temperature fireballs suddenly appeared and whistled towards the 4 ninjas of the patrol team. Wherever the fireballs passed, the air seemed to be distorted by the high temperature. Ah! 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 3 consecutive screams. Except for the team leader whose strength barely reached the level of Jonin, the other 3 Konoha ninjas managed to escape the attack. The moment the scorching release fireball touched their bodies, they were evaporated into 3 mummies. Their deaths were extremely miserable. Looking at his 3 subordinates being killed in one encounter, the patrol team leader was secretly glad that he had avoided this horrific attack. Jun, who had already arrived nearby, took action. Puppetry, 1 heart and 1 body. Jun summoned her 2 puppets, and the 2 puppets put their palms together and pulled out several steel wires, which just entangled the surviving Konoha Jonin. Then, under Jun's control, the steel wires tightened instantly, and the entangled Konoha Jonin was directly cut into several pieces. The scene was extremely bloody. After dealing with 2 patrol teams in the direction of their invasion, Imu led this elite force of Tsunagakure to quickly advance into the Land of Fire. Fortunately, Konoha had suffered a sneak attack from Hanzo before, so after that, Konoha strengthened its surveillance within the Land of Fire. So, before the afternoon, Konoha discovered the actions of the Sand Village and quickly reported the news back to the village. Boom! This time it was the desk in the Hokage's office that suffered the disaster. The 3rd Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen could not control his anger, and after receiving the news he angrily smashed his desk and gave the order directly without even waiting for his friends to arrive. After receiving the order from Sarutobi Hiruzen, the then Anbu chief, Hitaki Sakumo, immediately led a team of Anbu to intercept the Sand Village troops. At this time, Hitaki Sakumo had already made a great name for himself in the ninja world, because he used a silver-white chakra dagger in battle, combined with his ninja body technique that combined lightning escape and swordsmanship, which looked like white teeth in the dark and was indestructible, so he was called Konoha White Fang by all parties in the ninja world. I checked the official book and found that Hitaki Sakumo and the Sunin were ninjas of the same era, but he became famous earlier. Before the Second Ninja World War and the war with the Sand Village, he already had the title of Konoha White Fang. The official book did not find the names of Chiyo's son and daughter-in-law, that is, the parents of Scorpion of the Red Sand, so I borrowed the names set in other Naruto fan fiction. Scorpion's father is named Iki and his mother is named Jun. One more thing to say, Scorpion's name is similar to the name of the 3rd Tsuchikage Onoki. Akagasa is a title, not a surname. The official name given to him is simply Sasori, which means scorpion. Chapter 113. It is more comfortable to write it in 2 chapters. With 4,000 words piled into one chapter, it takes a long time to think of the chapter title. At the same time, on the same day that the Omegakure and Sand villages attacked Konoha, the Kumigakure and Mist villages also landed in the Land of Whirlpools at the same time. In the Hidden Mist village, according to the established strategy that Kingsley had already decided on, they did not attack the Uzumaki clan within the borders of the Land of Whirlpools, but simply moved their camp across the sea from the Land of Bears to the borders of the Land of Whirlpools. On the other hand, the Hidden Cloud village's side, this group of reckless men who were eager for war, could no longer suppress their restless hearts, and under the leadership of the 3rd Raikage AI, they began to advance rapidly within the borders of the Whirlpool country. The various strongholds along the way set up by the Whirlpool village were no match for the 3rd Raikage. In less than a day, the large army of the Hidden Cloud village approached the Whirlpool village at the evening of February 36, the 2th year of the Hidden Cloud village. The Uzumaki clan in Uzushio village were really used to a comfortable life. It was not until the Hidden Cloud village attacked at their doorstep that the ninjas of the Uzumaki clan reacted. They never expected that even with Konoha, the strongest ally in the ninja world, as their ally, there would still be people who dared to invade. At the entrance of Uzushio village, Uzumaki Ashina, the head of the Uzumaki clan, walked out slowly and looked at the 3rd Raikage AI standing in front of the Kumigakure troops from a distance. Sir Raikage, what is your intention in Kumigakure invading our Uzumaki country? Hand over the sealing technique. I can let your Uzumaki clan go. AI replied loudly. His domineering words won cheers from the hidden cloud troops behind him. Uzumaki Ashina's expression darkened. The hidden cloud village had come with ill intentions. He would not believe what AI said, that he would let their clan go if they handed over the sealing technique. One's own family knew one's own business. As the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan, he was well aware of all the abilities that his clan possessed. If he handed over the sealing technique, the hidden cloud village would definitely go even further and ask their clan to hand over a talented clansman to serve as a Jinkriki in the hidden cloud village. Impossible. This is the foundation of our clan's inheritance. If I ask you to hand over your Kirigakure lightning release chakra mode, will you give it to me? Although Uzumaki Ashina was very angry in his heart, he still endured it and said to the third Raikage Ihui. Haha. It seems we can't reach an agreement, so let's start a war. Before AI finished his words, he put on the lightning release chakra armor and rushed towards Uzumaki Ashina like a blue lightning. Humph! I knew it! Uzumaki Ashina said in his heart. He had a deep understanding of the moral character of these reckless men in Kirigakure. After all, he was also an old antique who had experienced the Warring States period. Uzumaki Ashina formed seals with both hands and changed 3 simple seals rapidly. Although the third Raikage AI advanced very quickly and arrived in front of him in the blink of an eye, how could Uzumaki Ashina, who had been on guard for a long time, do as he wished? Sealing technique, diamond seal. Several golden chains emerged from Uzumaki Ashina's back. Under his control, they continuously whipped towards the third Raikage AI who had come close to him. AI couldn't help but feel a headache looking at the golden chains flying all over the sky. The Uzumaki clan's diamond sealing technique was very famous in the ninja world. It was a super strong sealing technique that could even bind the tailed beasts. He didn't dare to confront it, so he quickly retreated and avoided the whipping of the chains. Thunder release Black Spot Cha. Since he couldn't get close to him for the time being, he might as well try a long-range attack. A leopard-shaped black lightning appeared between the hands of the third Raikage AI, and then pounced towards Uzumaki Ashina at a rapid speed. Uzumaki Ashina's expression remained unchanged as he controlled the chains to dance tightly in the air, blocking the Black Thunder attack. At the same time, he created several shadow clones. One of the shadow clones quickly returned to Uzushio village to inform the tribe members to ask for help from their ally Konoha village before the hidden cloud army completely blocked the village. They also had to strengthen the village's barrier defenses. Before Konoha's support arrived, they had to ensure that the barrier could not be breached by the hidden cloud village. Seeing that the attack failed to work again, the third Raikage AI frowned slightly. This old guy from the Uzumaki clan was really not easy to deal with, so he had to fight back. Lightning chakra exploded, and the lightning armor surrounding the body lit up with dazzling light. Under the stimulation of lightning chakra, the third Raikage AI's hair stood up one by one, and the lightning chakra mode was at full power. Whoosh! AI disappeared in an instant, and when he reappeared, he was already in front of Uzumaki Ashina. He raised his strong arm and hit Uzumaki Ashina with his elbow. Boom! Uzumaki Ashina turned into a puff of white smoke and was dispersed by AI's attack. However, he did not know when he replaced his real body with a shadow clone and stayed in the same place. AI saw Uzumaki Ashina use the shadow clone technique just now, but he did not realize when Uzumaki Ashina replaced his real body with a shadow clone. But it doesn't matter. Under his fast and powerful attack, all shadow clones are paper tigers and can be destroyed with just an elbow. AI tapped the ground with his left foot, used the force to change direction, and rushed towards another vortex Ashina. No matter how fancy you are, I can blow you up with just one punch. However, at this time, Uzumaki Ashina and his shadow clones had already taken their positions. When AI found that only a shadow clone was hit, they began to form hand seals at the same time. When AI charged towards another Uzumaki Ashina had already completed his ninjutsu, and the shadow clones scattered in 4 directions formed the tiger seal at the same time. Ninja Technique 4 Purple Flame Formation. A rectangular barrier of purple transparent flames rose up instantly, trapping the third Raikage AI in the middle. Seeing that AI was successfully trapped, Uzumaki Ashina immediately turned around and ran towards the village. He wanted to hurry back to the village to make the next defensive arrangements. Until now, they could only hold on and wait for reinforcements from Konoha. Although their sealing techniques are unique in the ninja world, many of his clansmen are not actually very strong in combat. Uzumaki Ashina does not think that the Uzumaki clan alone can fight against the large Kirigakure army led by the third Raikage AI, not to mention that just now, under the perception of Kagura's mind's eye, he also sensed the chakra aura of his old friend the third Mizukage being in the southern part of the Whirlpool country, a chakra aura with almost the same strength as the third Raikage AI, as well as the chakra auras of many ninjas. It seems that the Kirigakure has also come to wade into this muddy water. The third Raikage AI, who was trapped in the four purple flame formation, didn't look very happy. He was actually tricked by this old villain. He thought he was going to fight to the death. The violent lightning chakra was gradually compressed by AI and concentrated on the four fingers of his right hand, with flashes of electric light. Hell thrust, 4-point penetration. AI Meng sped up and rushed towards one of the directions of the four purple flame formation. He stretched out his right arm and poked the wall of the four purple flame formation with his four fingers. After a 2-second stalemate, the four purple flame formation was directly penetrated by the four-handed sword, and the four shadow clones of Uzumaki Ashina that maintained the four purple flame formation also dissipated simultaneously. However, it was these few seconds that allowed Uzumaki Ashina to seize the opportunity to withdraw from the battle, and the battle between the two ended in such a whimper. Tisk AI spat and returned to the location of the hidden cloud army in dissatisfaction. Tutai. AI opened his mouth and instructed his right-hand man, let everyone have a good rest today, and start the attack early tomorrow morning. We must break their barrier as soon as possible. Then send people to the south to urge Kirigakure. Although they are mainly responsible for blocking Konoha's reinforcements, they can't help but contribute to the attack on the Uzumaki clan. Okay, Lord Raikage. Dode responded respectfully, then turned around to convey his boss's orders to the hidden cloud ninjas. Chapter 114. In the Frost Country, in the mountain cemetery, deep underground, is Uchiha Madara's base. A white Zetsu appeared and called out, Madara-sama. An old voice was heard, and Uchiha Madara was awakened by white Zetsu. Over in the land of whirlpools, the hidden cloud village has taken action. Baizetsu explained the reason for waking up Uchiha Madara. Lord Madara, do you want to take action? Go inform Afei and ask him to come back quickly. I need him. After hearing the information given by White Zetsu, Uchiha Madara made a prompt decision and prepared to go to the land of whirlpools to cause trouble. For this, he, who had little vitality and was already old, needed to wear Afei's coat. The eccentric Afei was traveling around the ninja world at this time, exploring various truths of life. When he received the message from the White Zetsu clone and heard that it was an order from Uchiha Madara, he immediately rushed back to the underground base. Lord Madara! I'm back! Afei's cheerful voice echoed throughout the entire underground base. Can you tell me what it feels like when you have the urge to defecate? Afei asked this suicidal question again. Shut up! Uchiha Madara really couldn't stand this nagging guy. If it weren't for the fact that the White Zetsu's original body needed to coordinate all the clones to gather various intelligence for him in the ninja world, and this Afei was a unique alienated individual among this group of White Zetsu clones, who could cooperate with him to perform wood-style ninjutsu with sufficient strength and provide enough vitality, he would have used a fire-style ninjutsu to humanely destroy this damn nagging ghost. Uchiha Madara opened his scarlet eyes and looked at Afei. The Megatama in his eyes was spinning rapidly, and the invisible pupil power fluctuations invaded Afei's body. Although the pair of Sharingan in his eye sockets were not his own, and had not reached the level of Manjiki, but based on Uchiha Madara's research and understanding of the Sharingan, the strength of this illusion was still very high. Afei was directly controlled by Uchiha Madara's illusion. Madara was really fed up with his nagging mouth. It would be easier to just use an illusion to make him shut up and obey. Afei's body opened up like a flower, and then wrapped around Uchiha Madara. Uchiha Madara was covered by Afei, with only 2 scarlet Sharingan exposed. Uchiha Madara tore off the tube connected to the outer path demon statue that supplied him with life force. With the life force provided by Afei, he didn't need this thing for the time being. Let's go! Uchiha Madara's whisper echoed throughout the underground base, and then he slowly sank into the ground, and under the effect of the mayfly technique, he rushed towards the direction of the whirlpool country. Hey! Aren't you going to the land of whirlpools? White Zetsu's original form said to Black Zetsu, who was searching for information everywhere. Black Zetsu was with White Zetsu's original form at this time. In recent times, he had been collecting information about the blue eyes of CG that he saw that day. Not going. Since Madara is going, the Uzumaki clan is doomed to be exterminated. Black Zetsu replied indifferently. Although he had a bit of disdain for Uchiha Madara who was being played around by him, he had to admit that Uchiha Madara was the most talented and powerful reincarnation of Indra he had seen in his 1,000 years of planning. I have more important things to do. I vaguely feel that the mist ninja who appeared beside Nagato that day is not ordinary, and it is likely to affect our plan. Black Zetsu was a little distressed. After so many days, he couldn't find any information about the eyes he saw that day. Claiming to be the ultimate mastermind behind the ninja world and the creator of the 1,000-year history of the ninja world, Black Zetsu would never believe or allow things that he didn't understand or even beyond his control to happen. Looks like I have to go to the hidden mist village. Black Zetsu thought to himself, and then said to the white Zetsu beside him, let's go to the hidden mist village. Since we haven't found any relevant information yet, let's go to the hidden mist village to check the details of that ninja. Nagato happens to be there too. The white Zetsu nodded, and then its body began to change, gradually approaching the position of Black Zetsu, and finally merged with Black Zetsu, and the half-black and half-white pitcher plant Zetsu appeared. In the south of the land of whirlpools, at the hidden mist village camp. Kyoshiji, come and take a look. This is the information from Danzo Shimura. The third Mizukage Bing said as he handed a scroll to Kyoshiji. Ching Si quickly read through it and made a sound that was either an exclamation or a mockery. Good fellow, he really deserves to be called the Dark Ninja. This old man is really cruel to his own allies. It turned out that Danzo sent a message to Kirigakure to inform them that he had set up a tight net around Konoha, and even if a bird wanted to fly into Konoha, it would have to ask Danzo Shimura's permission. It seems that the Whirlpool country has a high probability of not getting any rescue from Konoha. Kingxi said to Bing. Although Danzo said so, Kingxi did not trust his ability to do things and his professional ethics. Kingxi did not dare to trust someone who could be so cruel to his own ally. Then you can set off now. Whether we can achieve our goal depends on you. Bing's expression became serious and said to Kingxi, then handed Kingxi a rather large scroll. Our people have already sneaked into the Uzushio village. We are not those reckless men of Kirigakure. This is the summoning scroll that connects with him. Through this engraved summoning array, you can be directly summoned to the Uzushio village. There is no need to find a way to pass through their barrier. Bing continued, appearing extremely satisfied with the mission performed by the Anbu. Do you know what it means to plan before taking action? Kingxi took the scroll, nodded, spread out the scroll, and sat in the center of the spiritual circle on the scroll. He made a seal, and bang, accompanied by a puff of white smoke, Kingxi disappeared on the spot. Ching Si suddenly appeared in a house in Uzushio village. With his pure eyes open, Ching Si quickly looked around and soon locked onto the person living next door. Her chakra aura was exactly the same as the chakra aura left on the summoning scroll. Lord Kiyoshi. The person who came was the Anbu code named Wu, who heard the noise next door and came to check. Wu was similar to Yagura, both looked like teenagers, but it was also because of this that he was able to sneak into the Uzushio village by taking secret medicine and hiding his chakra aura. If it was an adult, Uzushio village would not let him in easily. The appearance of a child is extremely deceptive. In addition, the Uzumaki clan members in charge of the inspection did not notice the hidden chakra aura, so he sneaked in easily. Just keep hiding, don't worry about me. Ching Si ordered Wu, I'll take you away after the mission is over. Chapter 115. The sky gradually darkened, and February 36th of the 2th year of Kirigakure was about to pass. That night, Kingxi quietly appeared in the home of Uzumaki Ashina, the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan. With the pure eye, any warning barriers or mechanisms were clearly visible in Kingxi's eyes and had no effect on him at all. A ninja from the hidden mist is visiting me so late at night, is he here to assassinate me? Uzumaki Ashina was sitting in the living room, quietly waiting for Kiyoshi. Uzumaki Ashina is indeed an antique who spanned the Warring States period and the Ninja Village period. He becomes more and more powerful as he gets older. As soon as Kiyoshi approached Uzumaki Ashina's home, he was sensed by Uzumaki Ashina's powerful perception ability. Although Kiyoshi did not deliberately hide his breath, after all, he was not here to assassinate but to have a friendly conversation. However, from Uzumaki Ashina's perspective, he thought that Seiji, who sneaked into their Uzushio village, and the third Raikage AI, who led the attack on their village, were birds of a feather. So he directly revealed Kingxi's whereabouts. He had already identified Kingxi as the owner of the chakra aura that he sensed near the third Mizukage Bing not long ago, which was as strong as the third Raikage AI. He could not let the battle break out inside the village and reach the scale of a cage-level battle, which could easily raise their Uzushio village to the ground. Therefore, he took the initiative and could only hope that Kingxi would retreat on his own initiative when he found that assassination was hopeless. But it is no wonder that Uzumaki Ashina misunderstood. With such strength, he still sneaked into their village. If he was not here to assassinate him, what else could he be here for? Could he have just come to Uzushio village to see the scenery? Kingxi, whose whereabouts were exposed, did not change his expression. He slowly walked into the living room and faced the patriarch of the Uzumaki clan. He had never thought that he could avoid the perception of Uzumaki Ashina, who possessed the incredible perception ability of Kagura's mind's eye. Uzumaki Ashina-senpai. Kyoji maintained respect for the elderly man who was already over 60 years old. I am not here to assassinate you. I am here to discuss cooperation with you on behalf of the Hidden Mist Village. Kingxi's words shocked Uzumaki Ashina. Cooperation? How can our Uzumaki clan cooperate with the Hidden Mist Village? According to the data of the Book of Formations, Uzumaki Ashina's sealing skills were very advanced, and he was called the founder of Konoha's sealing skills. In the end, he was destroyed together with the Uzushio village of the Whirlpool country, and died at the age of 67. I guess you must have already asked for help from Konoha village. Kingxi directly revealed Uzumaki Ashina's trump card. Although he had not seen the Uzumaki clan send anyone to Konoha, he knew that if they had not sent anyone to Konoha now, they would never have a chance under the siege of the Kirigakure army. After all, the Uzumaki clan had no ability in time and space. Why don't we make a bet? I bet Konoha won't come to rescue you. Kingxi did not state his purpose right away. Impossible. Uzumaki Ashina flatly denied. Konoha village and our Uzumaki clan have been allies for generations, and Mito is still alive. Kingxi suddenly realized that this was his confidence. If he hadn't mentioned it, Kingxi almost overlooked Uzumaki Mito. Uzumaki Mito, the wife of the first Hokage, Senju Hashirama, had been living in seclusion in Konoha for many years and had not taken action for a long time. She was not well known during the period of peace in the ninja world, and she did not take action in this ninja world war. But fortunately, the Hidden Mist Village and Danzo Shimura cooperated. Knowing Uzumaki Ashina's trump card, CG shook his head. Ashina-senpai, Uzumaki Mito-senpai is not omnipotent. She can influence the decision of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen, but she cannot influence everyone. The Uzumaki clan's ally for generations is the Senju clan of which the first Hokage belongs, not the Leaf Village. And now, the Senju clan has almost disappeared. Humph. I'm making a bet with you. What if Konoha really gives up on our Uzumaki clan and cooperates with you, Kirigakure? After hearing what Kyoji said, Uzumaki Ashina felt a little uneasy in his heart, but finally decided to believe his sister, Uzumaki Mito. According to official information, Uzumaki Mito is the princess of the Whirlpool Kingdom and the daughter of the clan leader. However, based on the age of Senju Hashirama, even if Uzumaki Mito is younger than him, she should not be much younger. Therefore, in terms of age and time, Uzumaki Mito and the current clan leader Uzumaki Ashina do not match. Therefore, Uzumaki Mito should be the daughter of the previous clan leader, Uzumaki Ashina's biological sister or cousin. If you have other explanations, please correct me. Ching-si smiled. Very good, the goal has been achieved. Ashina-senpai, that's great. I hope you can fulfill your promise when the time comes. After saying this, Kingxi opened his pure eyes and activated the pupil technique Takamaji Ehara. His figure gradually became blurred and finally disappeared. Uzumaki Ashina watched CG disappear from his sight, his pupils contracting violently, space-time ninjutsu. Or a pupil jutsu. He noticed the changes in Seiji's eyes under the mask. In fact, Uzumaki Ashina agreed to Kyoji not because of Kyoji's provocation, but after careful consideration, he found that if Konoha really had no reinforcements, then the Kirigakure, far away from the mainland, was indeed the last choice for the Uzumaki clan when they were facing the crisis of extinction. Moreover, he thought carefully about what Kyoji had just said. It was true that the Uzumaki clan and Konoha were only a simple alliance of interests. Without the Senju clan, who had been friends for generations, the Konoha clan and the high-ranking officials who only cared about interests would indeed abandon the Uzumaki clan. For Konoha village, the best option is to almost exterminate the Uzumaki clan. To put it bluntly, your Uzumaki clan's sealing techniques are so strong, and you have many special abilities, and you are the best candidates for the tailed beast Jinchuriki. Since you don't want to join our Konoha village, why not just destroy it? Wouldn't it be better for us to directly inherit your sealing technique legacy and accept the orphans of your village and country? Thinking of this worst-case scenario, and considering that Uzumaki Ashina brought himself into the perspective of Konoha's high-level officials, he couldn't help but shudder for a moment. So, it would be better to agree to Kingxi first. It's just a bet anyway. No matter what the final result is, it can be considered a win-win situation for the Uzumaki clan. Just consider it as preparing a retreat in advance. Uzumaki Ashina's thoughts were surging, and thousands of thoughts kept passing through his mind, and finally returned to silence. The night is getting darker. Chapter 116. After Imo led the elite sand village to break into the land of fire, along the way, with the perception of the ninjas in the team constantly overloaded, they searched everywhere for the lone Konoha team. In just 2 days, they had killed more than 20 patrol teams and mission teams, and almost all the Konoha teams in the southern part of the Land of Fire had been wiped out by them. Prepare to retreat. Yumu said to the group of sand ninjas behind him, we have achieved our set goal. What follows is a large-scale war between the village and Konoha. Suddenly, an angry shout came from a distance, since you are here, don't leave. The sand village ninjas have entered our Land of Fire. If you leave like this, won't others think that our Konoha is not hospitable enough? When Yumu saw the newcomer, his face changed and he shouted hurriedly, the sand village, led by Yekang. Quickly evacuate along the original route. June, come with me to stop them. The visitor was none other than the Konoha White Fang Hitaki Sakumo, who had led the team all the way here on the trail. Seeing that the murderer who had been slaughtering Konoha ninjas along the way was not far away, the chakra in Hitaki Sakumo's body exploded further, dazzling lightning flashed around him, and his speed suddenly increased to another level. White Fang Sword Technique, Flash. The lightning chakra spread to the White Fang in Hitaki Sakumo's hand, and then the man and the sword became one, like a flash of lightning, rushing straight towards Imu. Puppetry Puppet Substitute. When Imu saw Hitaki Sakumo, he immediately released all his puppets. 5 puppets of different shapes floated beside him. Then, when Hitaki Sakumo's attack was about to arrive, Imu replaced his body with the puppets in time and avoided the fatal blow. But at the same time, the puppet that was blocking the attack for him was also cut into 2 pieces by Hitaki Sakumo's fierce attack. As expected of Konoha White Fang, Imu, who was still in shock, said. He knew that Hitaki Sakumo was very strong, but he didn't expect him to be so strong that he destroyed one of his puppets as soon as they met. Lu Yu took action at this time. 5 puppets also floated beside her. Puppetry, spread poisonous smoke. A thick purple poisonous smoke came out of June's puppet's mouth and gradually spread to the entire area. She and Yumo had already taken the corresponding antidotes, so they were not afraid of it. Wind Style, Infinite Breakthrough. The Anbu led by Hitaki Sakumo also arrived at this time. They started with a combination of wind jutsu, which blew away the spreading poisonous smoke in time. You keep chasing, I'll be right here. Hitaki Sakumo ordered the Konoha Anbu who had arrived, and then attacked Imu and June again. He wanted to fight 2 at once. Hitaki Sakumo approached again with a knife in hand. In his eyes, the puppeteer's body was very weak. For him, as long as he had a chance, it would only take 1 knife to kill him. June, get ready, that's the only trick we can use. The 2 of us are no match for him. Yumu, whose puppet had been destroyed, said calmly at this time. In such a situation, even if this trump card is not used skillfully, they can only try it as a last resort. When June heard what Yumu said, although she was still worried about using this unfamiliar move, she had no choice but to follow Yumu's instructions. While Yumo was controlling the puppet to briefly entangle Hitaki Sakumo, she took out another scroll from her ninja tool bag and quickly released 5 puppets. Yi Mu! June called out loudly, and Yi Mu, who heard June's shout, immediately controlled the remaining 4 puppets and attacked Hitaki Sakumo regardless of the loss. After surrounding Hitaki Sakumo, he blew himself up, and Yi Mu himself quickly came to June's side. Cough cough cough. Hitaki Sakumo rushed out of the range of the explosion covered in dust. Although he covered his whole body with lightning chakra in time to form a chakra armor similar to that of the Reikage, he was still injured in the sudden and violent explosion. Hitaki Sakumo looked at Yumu and Liuyu solemnly. He knew that Yumo was so unwilling to care about the loss of his puppets and was determined to withdraw from the battle. He must be preparing a stronger trick. White Secret Technique, 10 Machine Maneuvers. Yumu and Liuya used this white secret technique together. Compared with his mother Cho, Yumu could only control 7 puppets at most, so in most combat situations, he would only control 5 puppets to fight the enemy. Later, he met his wife Liuya, who was also a talented puppeteer. With his wife's help, he found another way and developed a version of the white secret technique that was used by the two of them. And this is not a simple case of 2 people each controlling 5 puppets, a total of 10 puppets, fighting together, because originally Yumu and Liuya could control 5 puppets each, otherwise Bai's secret technique could not be a forbidden technique of the puppeteer. The essence of this move is that the 2 people have a total of 20 fingers, each of which is matched with 2 others. Each person controls 10 puppets, but each has a division of labor. With the incomparable tacit understanding between the couple, Yumu is responsible for controlling 10 puppets to attack, while Liuya is responsible for controlling 10 puppets to defend. If the practitioners did not have an extraordinary tacit cooperation, it would be very easy for them to hold each other back. Looking at the 10 puppets surrounding him under the joint control of the two, Hatake Sakumo couldn't help but smile bitterly, his face full of solemnity. This really shows respect for Hatake Sakumo, even using such a move. A normal sand village puppeteer can usually only control 1 or 2 puppets to fight the enemy. A Jonin or elite Jonin can only control 3. Even the cage-level Ebizo and the previous Iki and Junyo can only control 5 puppets, which is already the limit. The only ones who could control 10 puppets at the same time were the late second Kazekage shaman and Chikamatsu Jiminzamon who developed the Chikamatsu Juninchu. In today's ninja world, only Cho can control 10 puppets to fight at the same time. Today, as an opponent, Hatake Sakumo witnessed an alternative way of fighting by controlling 10 puppets. The increase in the number of puppets does not simply add up the combat effectiveness. If these puppets can be perfectly controlled to cooperate with each other, the combat effectiveness can be increased exponentially. Hatake Sakumo looked at the 10 puppets floating in front of him and decided to test the opponent's strength first. Under the control of Imu and Junyu, the 2 puppets took the lead and rushed towards Hatake Sakumo. One of the puppets in the shape of a tiger opened its mouth wide, and countless thousand swords were fired out densely under the action of the mechanism. Puppetry, 8 needle waves. As for the other puppet, a huge machete extended from its right arm along with the sound of mechanical movement. Puppetry Poisonous Sword. Chapter 117. Hatake Sakumo did not dare to be negligent, because he saw the purple color on the big sword. The Sand Village Ninja, especially the puppeteer, almost all the attacks are poisonous. Hatake Sakumo jumped lightly to avoid the first wave of attacks, then he formed seals to summon 2 shadow clones. The shadow clones also held white fang short knives in their hands, with lightning flashing on their bodies. They ran from 2 different directions towards Yumu and Jun who were protected by the puppets behind. White fang sword technique, Dance of the 3 Moons. This is Hatake Sakumo's improvement on the Konoha style swordsmanship, Crescent Moon Dance. He absorbed the essence of it and turned it into his own white fang swordsmanship. Yumu and Liuya remained expressionless as they controlled the other 2 puppets to face Hatake Sakumo who was rushing towards them from the left and right. Puppet Technique Prosthetic Hand Senbon. A puppet in human form stretched out its left arm, and the mechanism on its left arm opened, revealing the machine gun inside, which was aimed at Hatake Sakumo on the left and fired directly. The machine gun was filled with cylinders filled with poisonous needles, and when the machine gun approached Hatake Sakumo, the cylinders broke away from the machine gun and flew out in all directions. The poisonous needles inside the cylinders flew out and instantly pierced Hatake Sakumo through. With a bang, Hatake Sakumo, who was attacked, turned into white smoke and dissipated. Puppetry, Spiral Piercing. On the other side, a puppet also in human form directly crashed into Hatake Sakumo. When it hit Hatake Sakumo, all kinds of sharp iron spikes instantly emerged from all over the puppet's body, and then it began to spin wildly. In the blink of an eye, Hatake Sakumo also turned into a wisp of white smoke. At this time, Hatake Sakumo's real body had used the technique of instant body movement to rush close to Imu and Jun, and the white fang dagger flashing with lightning stabbed straight at Imu's heart. I got it. A slight curve appeared at the corner of Hatake Sakumo's mouth. Sure enough. He was fooled. The corners of Imu's mouth also curled up, revealing a smile of success. With the help of lightning chakra, Hatake Sakumo changed stabbing to slashing, and the extremely sharp white fang short knife directly cut off Imu's body. Imu's body was broken into 2 by this blow, but the texture of the blade passing through the body clearly told Hatake Sakumo that his attack missed. It's bad. Hatake Sakumo thought to himself that something was wrong. It turned out that this flaw was left intentionally by Imu in order to lure Hatake Sakumo to come close and attack him. After all, most of Hatake Sakumo's lethal moves were close combat, and this also gave Imu the opportunity to kill Hatake Sakumo. Imu, who was cut into 2 pieces, instantly turned into a puppet that was several times larger than a normal puppet. Jun's fingertips trembled wildly, and the puppet that was divided into 2 parts instantly merged into one again, trapping Hatake Sakumo inside. Konoha White Fang, captured successfully. Jun's faint voice came, and at the same time, Yi Mu's figure appeared next to a puppet on the periphery, and his hands controlled the chakra lines to shake continuously. By a secret technique, machine one-shot. The puppet next to Yuma quickly approached the puppet that imprisoned Hatake Sakumo. As it approached, the puppet's body quickly changed, decomposing into several extremely sharp blades coated with poison, which then directly inserted into the body of the puppet that imprisoned Hatake Sakumo. Hatake Sakumo sensed a fatal crisis, and powerful lightning chakra burst out instantly. He endured the discomfort in his meridians and wielded the White Fang dagger to forcibly break open the puppet that imprisoned him. He dodged in time at the last second before the blade was about to hit him. After landing, Hatake Sakumo couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The result of the forced burst of lightning chakra was that he also suffered serious internal injuries. At this time, most of his meridians in the body were aching slightly, and could no longer support him to use this move. Damn it! Hatake Sakumo said angrily to himself. He was a little too confident in his own strength. He also didn't expect that Imu and Jun had such a tricky combination of forbidden techniques besides the intelligence. However, at this time Imu and Jun began to get anxious. Although they could barely use this white secret technique relying on the tacit understanding between the couple, the chakra consumption was a little too fast. Not long after the battle started, the chakra amount of both of them was less than half. If they still couldn't solve the Konoha White Fang as soon as possible, they might die here today. Hatake Sakumo stood up and looked at Imu and Junya, who were protected by puppets behind him. His eyes gradually became firm. The Sand Village ninja broke into the country and killed so many Konoha companions. Today, even though he was seriously injured, Hatake Sakumo was determined to kill these 2 here and bet on his name, Konoha White Fang. Lightning chakra covered his whole body again, lightning flashed, and Hatake Sakumo disappeared on the spot. This time he changed his battle strategy. Since the opponent was also wary of being beheaded by him, and even used this to set a trap for him, he would just dismantle their puppets one by one. Hatake Sakumo rushed to the front wolf-shaped puppet and slashed it with a knife. The wolf-shaped puppet, under Jun's control, fell to the ground and avoided the attack. But this was just a feint by Hatake Sakumo. He quickly twisted his body, also crouched down, and kicked. He had predicted Jun's prediction. This time the wolf-shaped puppet failed to dodge and was kicked hard by Hatake Sakumo, and flew into the air. Hatake Sakumo held the White Fang in both hands and leaped up. A dazzling flash of lightning flashed and the wolf-shaped puppet was directly pierced through. White Fang sword technique, 1000 years of killing. All this happened so fast that Yumu and Liuyu had no time to react. Hatake Sakumo killed one of their puppets at lightning speed, and now there were only 9 puppets on the field. Although Yumo had other spare puppets in his scroll, these 10 puppets were specially built to adapt to Bai's secret skills. The other puppets not only did not enhance their combat power, but also affected their smoothness of control. Next, Hatake Sakumo continued his efforts and quickly dismantled Imu and Junya's 3 puppets, leaving only the last 6 puppets on the field. Moreover, during this process, Hatake Sakumo keenly noticed that Imu and Jun's control over the puppets was no longer as smooth as it was at the beginning. Sometimes there would be a slight delay. He knew in his heart that this was because the opponent's chakra was insufficient. It seemed that if nothing unexpected happened, these 2 people would be killed here soon. Chapter 118. However, if nothing unexpected happens, then there will most likely be an accident. Just as Hatake Sakumo continued to fight with the remaining 6 puppets, preparing to exhaust Imu and Junya's chakra. In the forest far behind, an extremely powerful aura rose up and kept approaching the area where they were fighting. Hatake Sakumo quickly withdrew from the battle, away from Imu and Jun, and looked behind vigilantly. Although this was in the territory of the Fire Country, the person who came was exuding his aura so unscrupulously that he was probably a friend rather than an enemy. Yumu and Liuyu breathed a sigh of relief, and their tense nerves suddenly relaxed. Why did the 2 of them stay to stop Hatake Sakumo? It was not only because of their responsibility as commanders and the fact that only the two of them could stop Hatake Sakumo together in the entire team, but also because they had known for a long time that they would have a strong ally. Now, this powerful ally finally arrived before their chakra was exhausted. It turned out that before Yumo led the team to attack the Fire Nation, Cho, who was worried about her son's safety, promised a huge sum of 3,000 million taels through the underground gold exchange to invite the strongest bounty hunter to cover Yumo and Jun in the southern area of the Fire Nation at the critical moment. However, the Fire Nation is too large and the two sides have no effective means of communication, so the bounty hunter has not arrived until now. As for not letting Imo lead the team, wouldn't it be better? Cho certainly didn't want her son and daughter-in-law to be in danger. After all, their child Sasori was at the age where he needed company. But there was no other way. There were only so many cage-level strongmen in the Sand Village. Cho and Ebizo, as elders of the Sand Village, needed to coordinate the overall situation. The third Kazekage Tessa was seriously injured by Seiji and was still recuperating. Raza was about the same strength as Yekang. He could be a deputy commander, but he couldn't take on the responsibility of leading the team. There was no one else, so Imo and Jun could only lead the team to carry out this mission. And the strongest bounty hunter who was hired was none other than Kakuzu, the rebel ninja from Kirigakure village who threw a shuriken at the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju, from 800 miles away and was known as the immortal ninja and the one who lives as long as the heaven and earth. As a ninja who spends all his time with money and believes that only money will not betray him, Kakuzu is extremely happy about this mission. After all, just by coming to provide a support, he can earn money that is almost the value of an elite jonin. Kakuzu walked over slowly, his chakra aura surrounding him, forming a small storm, and the air was filled with a depressing atmosphere. Kakuzu took out a small notebook from the ninja tool bag and quickly flipped through it while looking at Hatake Sakumo. Konoha White Fang, Hatake Sakumo, the bounty is 9,500 million taels. Very good, there is an unexpected surprise. Kakuzu was very happy at this moment. It was rare to see a cage-level being alone. It seemed that today he could not only earn the 3,000 million taels, but also kill Hatake Sakumo who was worth 9,500 million taels. After checking the records of Naruto, there are only two bounties, one is worth 3,000 million taels for Chiriku from the Fire Temple, one of the former 3,500 guardian ninjas of the Land of Fire, and the other is worth 3,000 million taels for Asuma Sarutobi, the son of the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen. So, looking at this price, an elite jonin is probably worth around million taels. It is reasonable to speculate that for a ninja at the level of Kage, the bounty should be at least 2 Asumas. At this time, Konoha White Fang Hatake Sakumo was just a relatively famous strongman. Before he killed Chiyo's son and daughter-in-law, the bounty should be about the same as that of an ordinary Kage. It would be slightly higher because he was the head of Konoha's Anbu, but it shouldn't be too outrageous. The Kirigakure traitor. Kakuzu. Hatake Sakumo's expression became serious. As the current head of Konoha's Anbu, he certainly had some information about Kakuzu. You killed the high-ranking Kirigakure traitors and defected. As an S-rank traitor, how dare you show up in the Land of Fire? Oh? The little brat from the Hatake family actually knows my name. You really deserve to be from Konoha. Kakuzu was a little surprised when his identity was exposed, but then he felt it was natural. As the current leader of the 5 major gangsters in the ninja world, it was normal for him to have some information about him. After all, he was not the kind of ninja who was unaware of the worldly affairs of the ninja world, and he often took action in exchange for bounties. This is trouble. This Kakuzu is obviously coming for me. Hatake Sakumo said inwardly. Although his guess about Kakuzu's motives was wrong, the result was indeed the same. Kakuzu waved at Imu and Junyu, signaling them to leave quickly, and rolled up his sleeves to get to work. Earthly resentment U tentacle fist. Kakuzu attacked immediately. His wrist separated from his arm, and dense black lines were released from his arm, connecting to his fist and shooting towards Hatake Sakumo at a rapid speed. Hatake Sakumo's face turned serious, and he jumped up to avoid the blow. Kakuzu's fist hit the ground hard, creating a big hole. Kakuzu flew forward, black lines surged, and the punch returned to his arm, and then he punched Hatake Sakumo again. Earth release Earth Spear. Kakuzu's fist was shining with a dark metallic glow. He used the Earth Spear to harden his body, which not only increased his attack power but also greatly strengthened his body's defense. Hatake Sakumo dodged the punch by turning sideways, then turned his body and slashed at Kakuzu with the white fang short sword in his hand. Clang! Jiaoda did not dodge or evade, but took the blow head-on. His hardened body defense made Jiaoda extremely confident. Hitaki Sakumo was stunned. He didn't expect that his full-strength sword attack couldn't even break the defense. It was this stunned moment that allowed Kakuzu to seize the opportunity. He stretched out his hand to control Hitaki Sakumo's wrist as he swung the sword, leaving him no room to dodge. Then he kicked Hitaki Sakumo with a big foot and directly kicked him out. Then Kakuzu's back began to swell, and two black masked monsters broke out of his body, standing on his left and right sides respectively. The red masked monster representing fire style and the dark blue masked monster representing wind style opened their ugly mouths at the same time, and destructive chakra fluctuations came. Fire escape Touk-ku. Wind escape press. Combined ninjutsu, flame wind wave. The extremely large-scale high-temperature sea of fire quickly spread towards Hitaki Sakumo, and soon, Hitaki Sakumo's figure was submerged in the sea of fire. Chapter 119. When Seiji used Takamagahara to leave Uzumaki Ashina's house, he did not choose to return directly to the Kirigakure camp, but first returned to the room where he appeared after using the reverse summoning technique. As soon as he arrived, in order to facilitate subsequent actions, he had already marked the eye power mark here. The purpose of his return here was to bring the Anbu ninja codenamed Wu back to the camp. Wu's mission here has been completed. With the eye power mark, relying on the eye technique Takamagahara, Seiji can travel freely between Uzushio village and the camp. Although Uzumaki Ashina will definitely strengthen the monitoring of space-time fluctuations in Uzushio village after witnessing his space-time abilities, and even carve a barrier near his home to stabilize the space and prevent space-time ninjutsu, this super-standard barrier will definitely not be able to expand to the entire Uzushio village, so Seiji has nothing to worry about. After returning to the Kirigakure camp, Kingxi went straight to rest. At this time, except for the ninjas on duty, everyone else had fallen asleep, and there was no need for him to be the bad guy and disturb others. The next day, in the morning, Kingxi came to the third Mizukage Bing, ready to report to him about the communication with the Uzumaki clan. Here in Bing, Kingxi happened to meet Chinokidu and Yagura Kiruta, who had just finished their mission in the Bear Country and came to the Whirlpool Country. At this time, all the resistance forces in the Bear Country had been wiped out by Yagura and his team. When the big and small forces in the Bear Country encountered the powerful Yagura, they either surrendered or were destroyed. The only ninja village in the Bear Country, the Star Ninja Village, was also easily wiped out by Yagura. Except for the elderly, the weak, women and children, all the ninjas in the village were killed by Yagura and his team. From then on, there was no more the title of Star Ninja. When Seiji saw his elder sister Chinano and younger brother Yagura, whom he hadn't seen for a while, his eyes lit up. "Little Kingxi, you came at the right time. I have something good for you," Bing said to him after seeing Kingxi coming back, and at the same time handed Kingxi the star that Yagura had just given him. It is really better to arrive at the right time than to arrive early. Bing had been studying it for a long time. In his perception, the star was constantly emitting chakra with radioactive properties. The feeling that this chakra gave him was that, except for the radioactive properties, it was extremely similar to the 3 tails and 6 tails of the hidden mist. However, it seemed to be of higher quality. However, due to the limitation of intelligence, Bing did not know what the essence of this star was. He just had a mysterious feeling that it might be useful to Kingxi. Bing's age is considered old compared to the average age in the ninja world, so he is not as obsessed with strength as he was when he was young. Now he hopes to have more outstanding juniors who can lead the village he has devoted his life to the top of the ninja world. Kingxi took the star, and as soon as he held it, he felt an unusually comfortable feeling. It was as if the blood and even every cell in his body were cheering. Kingxi felt that his chakra and eye power, which had long slowed down in growth, also became a little faster under the stimulation of the star. Secretly suppressing this comfortable feeling, Kingxi said to the others, "I feel that this star has some effect on me, but I still need to study it carefully. Then I'll give it to you. You can take it and study it, and you don't have to return it to me." Bing made the final decision. Since Kingxi felt that this thing would be useful to him, then give it to him. Anyway, it was obtained from the Star Ninja Village. "Tell me about the Uzumaki clan, are there any results?" Bing changed the subject and shifted the topic to the Uzumaki clan. "Just as planned, I briefly tested the Uzumaki clan's leader, Uzumaki Ashina, yesterday, and they really still have a glimmer of hope for Konoha," Kyoji explained, but fortunately we cooperated with Shimura Danzo, otherwise there would be some unknown changes. I didn't expect that the wife of the first Hokage is still alive. Uzumaki Mito. Bing sighed, and the image of the woman with fiery red hair, noble and elegant but extremely powerful, emerged in his mind. As a warrior who came out of the Warring States period, of course he had a deep impression of this extraordinary woman with such a great reputation. That's it for now. Please report any subsequent results at any time. Hearing this, Bing waved his hand, indicating that they could leave. After the three siblings bowed respectfully to Bing, they turned around and left. The three who had not seen each other for a long time wanted to reminisce about the past and describe their experiences during this period to each other. In the evening, after separating from China and Yagura, Kyoji returned to his tent. Taking out the star casually, Kingsley sat cross-legged on the ground, opened his pure eyes and began to observe carefully. He wanted to study what this star was. Under the vision of the pure eyes, there was a chakra with extremely strange properties inside the star, and the feeling of this chakra made Kingsley quite familiar, just like the chakra of the 10 tails he absorbed before, but the difference was that this chakra was much higher in quality than the chakra of his little 10 tails, and the degree of activation was also higher. Suddenly, Kingsley thought of something. Yes, the little 10 tails that belonged to him was just a juvenile at the most initial level, and the chakra in the star was most likely left by a 10 tails that ate the Otsutsuki, or even by the 10 tails that degenerated from the divine tree that had produced the chakra fruit. In short, there was no doubt that this star was a fragment that fell off a 10 tails. But in a flash, Kingji had new doubts. According to the information told to him by Yagura, the star of the Star Ninja Village fell from the sky into the Bear Country about 200 years ago. But in his memory, except for the 10 tails of Kagaya Otsutsuki 1,000 years ago and the little 10 tails currently in the different space, there should be no other 10 tails in the ninja world. The body of the 10 tails Otsutsuki Kagaya was sealed on the moon together with Otsutsuki Kagaya, so the time doesn't match. Seiji's little 10 tails has been staying in the different space all the time, and the aura doesn't match either. So, where did this 10 tails fragment come from? A guess emerged in Kingsley's mind. It is very likely that in a more distant era, other Otsutsuki had visited the planet where the ninja realm was located, and the 10 tails carried by that Otsutsuki had been active or fought in the starry sky, so the fragments of the detached body were stranded in the starry sky, until 200 years ago, when it fell into the Bear Country for some reason. But, forget it, these things are not something I can worry about right now. Ching Si changed his mind and thought that as long as it could be confirmed that this was a fragment of the 10 tails, there was no need to delve too deeply into its origin. Chapter 120. After putting the star away again, Kingsley prepared to go to another dimension to see if this 10 tails fragment had any effect on his little 10 tails. Takamagahara. The eye technique was activated, and Kingsley's figure disappeared from the spot. When he reappeared, he had arrived at Ashaiki's Otsutsuki ruins. No, now it should be Kingsley's Otsutsuki ruins. Walking up to the little 10 tails, Kingsley greeted the big guy in front of him in a friendly manner, and then took out the star. As soon as the breath of star appeared, the little 10 tails reacted immediately. Its big eyes of samsara were filled with desire, and the little 10 tails that was imprisoned in place also began to struggle violently. Sure enough, my guess was right, and this thing has an extraordinary effect on my little 10 tails. Feeling the constant want to eat thoughts coming from the little 10 tails, Kingsley smiled, then casually threw the star in the direction of the little 10 tails. Seeing the star flying towards it, the little 10 tail stopped being restless, opened its big mouth, and quietly waited for the star to arrive. The star flew into the little 10 tail's big mouth, and was swallowed by the little 10 tail with a gulp. Maybe it was because it had been hungry for too long, a small star made the little 10 tail make a swallowing sound. As soon as the star entered the mouth, the effect was immediate. The already huge body of the little 10 tails became visibly bigger. Although the 10 tails chakra contained in the star was not much, its quality was high. This tiny bit made the little 10 tails, which had been dry for a long time, grow significantly. Kingsley shook his head and laughed. Looking at the little 10 tails which had begun to digest the star and was in much better condition than before, Kingsley activated Takamagahara again and left the different space. On the Konoha side, when Hotaki Sakumo returned to the village injured, all of Konoha F4 were shocked. They did not expect that Konoha White Fang, who led a whole team of Anbu to chase the Sand Village ninjas, would fail and be injured. Although other Anbu ninjas left nearly half of the Sand Village ninjas in the pursuit, they also suffered heavy losses under the attack of Hakura Shokyutan, losing about one-third of their manpower. In the Hokage's office, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen was talking to Hatake Sakumo. Sakumo. The third Hokage took a long puff of his cigarette and said, "Please introduce the situation." Hokage, the leader of the Tsunagakure team this time is Chiyo's son Imu. Imu's wife Junsuki is also there, as well as Tsunagakure's scorch-release ninja Yekura. We caught up with them in the southern part of the Land of Fire, and Imu and Junsuki teamed up to stop me. Just when I was about to kill them, the bounty hunter Kakuzu appeared and saved them. Hatake Sakumo narrated calmly, without any intention of shirking responsibility. Kakuzu? Is he the rebel ninja from Kirigakure village? Sarutobi Hiruzen was stunned. He didn't understand why there was a bounty hunter involved. Since when did bounty hunters dare to hunt down the ninjas of their Konoha? It's him. Hatake Sakumo's eyes showed a trace of resentment. If this cornerman hadn't come out to mess things up, he would have brought back the heads of Imu and Jun. According to my guess, it should be a bounty mission issued by Cho through the underground gold exchange. However, I have basically obtained his intelligence in this battle. Hatake Sakumo continued, and his mind couldn't help but recall the battle between him and Kakuzu. The strong lightning blade split the raging sea of fire, and then Hatake Sakumo held the white fang short sword, and with the speed of lightning chakra, stabbed directly into Kakuzu's heart. Kakuzu, who wanted to resist, overestimated the defense of his hardened earth spear and underestimated Hatake Sakumo's instant burst ability. The white fang short sword had been performing mediocre before stabbing Kakuzu's heart, but at the moment of contact, the lightning flashed, and one strike directly pierced through the hardened body of the earth spear and pierced Kakuzu's heart. But Hatake Sakumo did not expect that Kakuzu, whose heart was pierced, was unharmed. No, it cannot be said that he was unharmed. Hatake Sakumo keenly noticed that a broken white mask appeared under Kakuzu's feet. That's right. According to my observation, although Kakuzu is known as the immortal ninja, he is not truly immortal. Instead, he has 5 hearts with different attributes. If you want to kill him completely, you have to destroy all 5 of his hearts. Hatake Sakumo told the information he had deduced from the fight with Kakuzu. He had basically seen through Kakuzu's abilities, and the next time they fought, he would definitely kill him under his white fangs. After listening to Hatake Sakumo's story, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen pondered for a moment, then said, "It's a pity that we couldn't keep Iki and Jun this mission, but it can't be said to be a complete failure. After all, half of the elite troops who invaded Tsunagakure were killed. Record Kakuzu's intelligence and then report it to all the Jonin. He dared to attack our Konoha ninjas, At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen revealed a hint of the domineering aura of the shadow of the strongest ninja village. Yes. Lord Hokage. Hatake Sakumo responded. Oh, right. Hatake Sakumo suddenly remembered something and added hastily, Kakuzu also mentioned that he had fought with the first Hokage. Impossible. Sarutobi Hiruzen's pupils contracted and he subconsciously denied it. He had witnessed the inhuman power of the first generation. How could a small Kakuzu fight with the first generation and still be safe and sound? But he reacted quickly afterwards. He remembered that his teacher, the second Hokage, Tobirama Senju, once jokingly told him during a chat that not long after Konoha village was established, Kirigakure village sent an Anbu ninja to assassinate the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. However, the opponent was captured by the first Hokage as soon as he threw a shuriken from 800 miles away. Presumably, this Kirigakure Anbu was Kakuzu. Sarutobi Hiruzen understood, and then signaled to Hatake Sakumo that he knew about this matter. Seeing this, Hatake Sakumo did not investigate further. Oh, by the way, I will have a meeting with the Hokage's assistant and 2 advisors later. The war with Tsunagakure has officially begun. You go back and prepare and hand over the work of the Anbu to Shinichuk. You will lead the war with the Tsunagakure village this time. Sarutobi Hiruzen quickly composed himself and added that he wanted to pave the way for his eldest son. Hatake Sakumo nodded and then turned to leave. Hatake Sakumo was a very standard ninja, born in the Hatake clan, which was originally a samurai family. Although it has now become a ninja family, the samurai's belief in loyalty has been passed down and inherited by Hatake Sakumo, so he did not resist the orders of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the third Hokage, at all.